I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news from ESPN's Adam Schefter. 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo expected to be sidelined at least 6 weeks with a high ankle sprain. Niners tight end George Kittle expected to miss 8 weeks with a broken bone in his foot. The Kittle absence will be a tough void for San Francisco to fill, notes ESPN's Jeff Saturday.
It's not just what he does on the field. He's the lifeblood, being Kittle, to this offense, right? The energy he brings, the yards after the catch, the toughness, the physicality. You see him in the run game, how well he blocks. This guy is a great football player, does a really good job for this 49ers football team. Tough loss for them, man. Really disappointed.
Bears receiver Javon Wims suspended 2 games by the NFL for throwing a sucker punch in the loss to the Saints. Saints acquired linebacker Quan Alexander from the 49ers for linebacker Kiko Alonso and a conditional 5th-round pick. Chargers traded DB punt returner Desmond King to the Titans for a 6th-rounder. Florida football coach Dan Mullen fined $25,000 after Saturday's brawl between the Gators and Missouri. 2 Florida players and 3 Tigers players were each suspended a half game as well.
With thousands of locally owned Napa stores across the nation, chances are that wherever you call home, they do too. So whether you stop by a local Napa Auto Parts store, Napa Auto Care Center, or visit Napa online, you can count on Napa know-how.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
Let's ride.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
I appreciate it, bud. Have a good one.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
The Brain.
Hey, the brain got a poop.
And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. LSU wide receiver commit Jack Bech in hour 3. 1 hour from right now, Saints wide receiver Juwan Johnson went viral last week when he let his wife know that he was going to be playing for the Saints. Got his first career reception yesterday. Saints win over Chicago. Who-dats get a win in overtime, 26-23. Today, if you haven't heard, the Saints have traded for former LSU linebacker and now former Bucs and 49ers linebacker Quan Alexander. We'll delve into all of that here over the next 3 hours, and we will take plenty of your interaction, which I would guess there will be plenty of on this day after LSU got waxed by Auburn. So let me start there. And I will talk about the game, and we'll talk deep dive also about this season and the big picture of the program, et cetera, because I think a lot of that has to be discussed whenever you have a loss like this, because if you're not introspective about why you got to the point that you're at, then you're destined not to fix it. I didn't expect LSU to win the national championship this year. If we go back to the summer, my feeling about this team was their ceiling was 8-2. I thought that's where they would be. I thought they had 6, as I said it, 6 layups, and then 4 games that were 50-50 games, and if they could split them, I think that would be great. That was their ceiling. That's what I thought they would be, around 8-2. I can handle losses. I can especially handle losses with a young team, with new coaches, new coordinators, so much talent gone to the draft, COVID year, opt-outs, all of that. I can handle losses. If you're playing hard and sometimes the ball bounces left instead of right, you're not the better team that day. That happens. I mean, in the 126-year history of LSU football, 127-year history of LSU football, really in the modern era anyway, they've had 2 undefeated seasons. 1958 and last year. That's it. They're going to lose games. It's just the way it goes. But the way you're losing right now in piling up historically bad benchmarks every week is in every way unacceptable. Mississippi State passed for the most yards in a single game on you. Have you watched what Mississippi State has done since? That is the greatest indictment on this team. They've not won a game, and they were just shut out by Alabama. Everyone has with ease stifled this offense, which you allowed to set an SEC record. You let a freshman from Missouri throw for 406 yards and 4 touchdowns on you. And on Saturday, you suffered the worst loss in the history of the LSU-Auburn series. The 37 points was the largest margin of defeat in the history of this series. And it was your worst loss since 1996 when you lost to Florida in the Swamp. Please stop telling me about COVID. Please stop telling me about opt-outs. Please stop telling me about everybody you lost in the draft. Because when I look at that defense, I see senior Neil Farrell, senior Glenn Logan, JUCO transfer Ali Gay, senior transfer Jabril Cox, guys like Damone Clark and Micah Baskerville who have waited for their turn, senior Jacoby Stevens, All-American Derek Stingley, 5-star number 1 player in the country Elias Ricks. I see freshman phenoms like B.J. Ojolari. All of the guys I just mentioned have Sunday aspirations and Sunday talent. You have NFL talent on that defense. And that doesn't mean you're going to win every game. But there is zero excuse to lose by 37 points and to allow a pedestrian and erratic Bo Nix to throw for 300 yards and that offense to run for 200 against you. This is, might I remind you, the same Auburn team that lost to South Carolina. Yes, the South Carolina team that you hung 52 on just 2 weeks ago. Now, I want to be clear about something else. I've seen too many y'all knuckleheads say, they wanted to ordain TJ Finley. Told you he wasn't the guy. It would not matter. I'm going to be very clear about this. It would not have mattered if Tom Brady, Joe Montana, or Jesus Christ were playing quarterback for LSU on Saturday. Finley was sacked 4 times. He was hit 5 times, had 2 passes deflected, and LSU ran for 1.2 yards per carry. LSU's offensive line got its ass collectively kicked on Saturday. And the defensive line wasn't any better. It wasn't a banner day for Finley. Happens. The turnovers, could live without him. He made one really bad throw, the one that was high and wide to Marshall that ultimately ended up in a touchdown. Would have loved to have some more ball security on the time when he got popped and he fumbled. Scoop and score. But even still, TJ Finley didn't give up 48 points and 500 yards to Bo Nix. We'll talk about the quarterbacks later. The bottom line is these players either cannot execute or will not execute for Bo Pelini and Ed Ogeron. Either or. That's evident. You have enough talent, not to win out, but you have enough talent to compete in every game on your schedule. Yet you're suffering historically bad losses. And when the head coach talks about it, continues to say, we're making the same mistakes over and over again. When you're making the same mistakes over and over again, that's no longer on the player. That's on you, Jack. That's on your inability to get these players to do what you need them to do in order to have success. It's not the NFL, so you can't go get new players. You can't check the waiver wire. You can't trade for somebody. The roster you got is the roster you got. So you're at an impasse. You're no good. Your team doesn't care. And a week from Saturday, the best team in college football is coming into your building with an axe to grind after you beat them a year ago in their place. And oh, by the way, You've still got to go to College Station. They may have something to prove. And Gainesville, whose coach walked into a press conference dressed like Darth Vader and incited a riot on Saturday. And those teams are actually going to be playing for something by the time you play them. If you think Saturday was rock bottom, you've still got 5 more games. So what do? Y'all know that I'm the guy who I don't call for people to be fired. I don't think that's my job. But similarly, last week, when we're having conversation and we were talking about quarterbacks, I said a week ago, I'd ride with TJ Finley. I think clearly he is the better talent. I would ride with him and take my lumps and grow that way because long term, I think my ceiling is better with that guy. Now, I don't think that's what Ed Orgeron is going to do. I think as soon as Miles Brennan's ready to go, he's going to play. Similarly here, it sounds as though, and Ed Orgeron talked about it after the game on Saturday, where he said, we'll evaluate our staff after the season. I don't think he's going to make any staff changes. But there's one thing, just one. There's one thing that in my mind would actually get this team, the 2019 LSU Tigers, to increase their level of performance, to zero in and play to their max potential defensively, which they're not even close to doing right now. And that is moving on from Bo Pelini and elevating Corey Raymond to defensive coordinator, because this much I know. I'm not on the practice field. I'm not in meeting rooms. I'm not in the locker room. I don't know what these players say to each other and among each other about Corey Raymond, but actions speak, about Bo Pelini, but actions speak louder than words. And I know, watching them through 5 games, that they're not playing for this guy. They're not. And if it's Corey, Bo, Ed, combination of them, whatever, they're not playing for this defensive staff. What I also know is that every one of those guys would bust their ass for Corey Raymond. And I know he's never been a defensive coordinator, and I don't think Ed Orgeron is going to do it. But if you want one thing that would inject life and get every one of those players to zero in, fire Bo Pelini today and elevate Corey Raymond to defensive coordinator and see what happens. You don't think that would work? 2016. Arguably the most talented team Les Miles had. Jamal Adams, Leonard Fournette, Darius Geis. Look at that team. Devin White. Go look at that 2016 roster. They lay down against Wisconsin. They're listless against Auburn. Les gets fired. Ed comes in. First game. Record number of yards put up in an SEC game against Missouri that day. Go back to 1999. LSU quit. Talented roster. Talented roster that quit on Jerry DiNardo and Lou Tepper. They lose to Houston. They fire Jerry. They promote Hal Hunter. Hal starts Rohan, and LSU blew the doors off of Arkansas, who won the West that year, by the way, in Tiger Stadium. Don't tell me a change like that wouldn't get this team to elevate its play. Now, we can talk a lot about COVID, and we could talk about the $80 million revenue loss, and we could talk about the money in the buyout you'd have to pay Bo Pelini and all that stuff, and I get it. But anyone that's ever owned or operated a business also knows the saying, you got to know when to cut your losses. If you're driving down a road that's a dead end, you can keep driving because you don't feel like turning around, but you're ultimately going to get to that dead end, and you're going to have to turn around eventually anyway, whenever that becomes. This team in 2020 is going nowhere. They're 2-3. They got at least 3 more losses on the schedule. You hope they can find a way to beat Ole Miss and Arkansas and somehow get to 4-6. That's what you hope. Is that good enough? Maybe. If it is for Ed Orgeron, they'll stay the course. And then they'll evaluate at the end of the season. But if you want to fix this now, to maximize 2020 for whatever it can be and start pointing the ship in the right direction, make the change today. Our Zapp's further review. Got a lot we're going to talk about. 499-1045 if you want to join us. You're welcome. 499-1045. I'll take phone calls. I'll take phone calls all day. Except for 2 segments, because I got Juwan Johnson of the Saints and Jack Bech coming up in the show today. Other than that, if you want to join us, come on. 499-1045 or toll free 844-568-MATT. 844-568-6288. You can tweet the show at Matt Moscona, at 1045ESPN, or jump in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat. Lots of ways you can get involved in the show. Feel free to do it. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001, or online at onehourbr.com, O-N-E, onehourbr.com. River City's 1 Hour Air. If your home central AC isn't keeping up, no worries. Actually, right now, I wouldn't even worry about your AC. Weather's been so nice. Get down into the 40s at night. Now is the time, actually. Then you need to get River City's 1 Hour Air out to the house for your preseason heater safety inspection. They'll come out to the house. They'll clean your home central heater. They'll make sure it's in tip-top shape and it's safe. It sits dormant for months, collects dust. It could be hazardous. Before you crank up your home central heater, make sure you call River City's 1 Hour Air. They'll come out to the house. They'll clean your heater. They'll make sure it's efficient, protect your home, but more importantly, protect your family. Just $97 for the preseason heater safety check from River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, 752-0001.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one but two NMEA certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front to Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech.
Failure happens to us all, but it's how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is if you get back up when you fall. You gotta get up. Failure happens to us all.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Well, we got to open the gate. We're going to look at the things that we need to get fixed. Like we always do, we're going to work on getting fixed. We got to play with consistency. Obviously, we got to get better at a lot of things.
Ed Ogeron after LSU's loss on Saturday. We got a full board of calls we'll get to. A lot of people want to react. If you're just joining us, you missed the open. I'll simplify it for you. I can handle losses. I cannot handle lifeless performances where a super talented team is playing exponentially below its talent level. That's a disconnect between coaches and players, and there has to be a change. You can't cut guys or go hit free agency, so you got to move on in the coaching staff. I think you move on from Bo Pelini today and you elevate Corey Raymond. I don't think Ed's going to do it. We didn't see him do it with Matt Canada, but that's the thing I would do today because I know unequivocally that every guy on that defensive side of the ball would play their ass off for Corey Raymond. I know that. I'm not saying they'd be in the right position. I'm not saying it would be the most exotic defense. I'm not saying it would be Dave Aranda 2.0. What I'm telling you is you'd see effort. You'd see guys flying around, wanting to play for their coach. You don't see it right now. All right, it's after further review. I'm sure we're going to get into all of this. But I also do want to talk about the state of the program because some people are going to misinterpret what I'm saying and think of it as the program is crumbling because I don't believe that. Actually, let me do this real quick. I want to do this real quick. A lot of people have said, is Ed Ogeron Gene Chizik 2.0? And if you don't remember what happened with Gene Chizik, he won the national championship in 2010. A year later, they were fourth in the West. And then 2 years after the championship, they were 0-8 in the SEC, and he was fired. I don't think this is that because Gene Chizik won a national championship with a human cheat code on both sides of the ball with Cam Newton and Nick Fairley. And they never recruited at the level Ed is recruiting. Not only is the cupboard not bare, the cupboard is, whenever you get this next recruiting class in, going to be full. You just signed a consensus top 5 class with guys like Elias Ricks and Eric Gilbert. And look at Keyshawn Boutte, Coy Moore, TJ Finley. Look at the guys running around the field right now that are true freshmen. And then look what's coming behind them. And you just got Sage Ryan this weekend. And you just got Jack Bech. And you're feeling really good about Mason Smith and possibly Corey Foreman. Like, if the whole thing were crumbling, you wouldn't be pulling in that type of talent. The reality is, what we know about the structure LSU has in place is, if Ed Ogeron is going to be the CEO role that everyone talks about, and we've seen it work. It worked last year to perfection. The key is your coordinator hires. You can't miss. When you miss, you have Matt Canada. When you miss, you have Bo Pelini. You can't miss. It's an odd twist because Les Miles was terrific at hiring coaching talent. He hired Steve Ensminger. He hired Corey Raymond. He hired Dave Aranda. Hell, he hired Ed Ogeron. Les's problem was he wouldn't delegate. Ed will delegate. He's missing on the hires. Fix that. You got the talent in place. All right. Joe is in New Orleans. Hey, Joe, thanks for the call. Go ahead.
Hey, Matt, long-time listener, first-time caller. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good, Joe. Thank you, man.
Good. Listen, quick question. I'm going to hop off and listen to your take. We all remember in 2007, Bo Pelini roaming the sidelines and, looking back at the players he had, Glenn Dorsey, Ali Highsmith, he got obviously a different level of effort and production than he's getting now. My question is, I'm wondering what you think the difference is between now and 12 years ago, 13 years ago.
Joe, let me ask you a question. Where's Glenn Dorsey on this roster?
No.
Where's Ali Highsmith on this roster?
Well, to your point earlier, I mean, there's talent there.
There's talent, but here's the thing, Joe. You've got to understand that if what your objective is in a 4-3 is physical linebackers that can make plays between the tackles and fast, athletic defensive linemen that are trying to be disruptive, you have to recruit to that. And I understand that. But you can't convince me that even if you don't have that level to play at an elite level like Ali Highsmith and Glenn Dorsey did and Craig Stelz and all those guys, you still can't be historically bad. That's the point. Joe, thank you for the call. We had some interference on the phone. You can't You can't give up 600 passing yards to Mississippi State and tell me you didn't have time to put in a zone defense. You can't give up 400 yards to a freshman quarterback at Missouri. You can't lose by 37 to Auburn. You can't have Auburn pinned at their own 1-yard line and then have the running back break contain around right end for 26 yards on first down when we've talked about week after week after week your inability to set the edge. You tell me Ali Gay can't set the edge? I don't need you to be Tyson Jackson. I don't need you to be the number 3 pick in the draft. Just don't be historically bad. Meet me in the middle. JJ's in Baton Rouge. Hey, JJ.
Hey, Matt. Just wondering why the press isn't tougher on Orgeron in the press conferences, and I didn't hear a question from you. I loved your opening, and I would have perfectly been happy to hear you challenge him in the press conference. Why is that?
So, JJ, I'm not at every press conference, candidly. And number two, the one question I would have asked was asked in the postgame, which was, are you considering staff changes? And he said, no, we'll do it after the season.
Wow. Well, just don't think they're tough enough. That's all.
Okay. JJ, I don't always do. I agree with you, actually. A lot of times I think this is a weird town to be in sports media because there's this sort of reverence with LSU, and sometimes LSU feels like they can rule. I say LSU collectively, kind of like with an iron fist, like we'll block access or things. I mean, that was certainly the case with Joe Oliva. We were blackballed for a long time here. I was blackballed. That's changed now a good bit. And I don't disagree with you, JJ, but I think you also got to understand sometimes that the role of the media is certainly to ask relevant questions. It's not to bitch at a coach in a press conference. David's in Jackson, Mississippi. Hi, David.
Hey, Matt. I'm totally with you there on. I would not be for making a change unless there was just a total disconnect, and I think we're seeing a total disconnect on defense right now. We've got players. We don't have the lineup that you just rattled off, but I mean we've got players, but they look bad lost, man. And I want to mention this is a couple of weeks ago you were talking. You had Ryan Clark on, and there was something said about a separate the DBs or maybe it was the safeties that are a separate meeting from the rest of the defense.
Yeah, they've split corners and safeties. So Corey Raymond coaches the corners and Bill Bush coaches the safeties, and they're separate in practice.
Okay. Is that that just doesn't seem very normal to me.
I agree.
Well, I liked your opening too. Seemed like I was waiting for a question from you. Were you at the press conference last week?
I was not.
Hey man, we got to have you back.
Well, candidly, David, those are the Monday press conferences are done via Zoom, and sometimes
you'll ask the hard questions, man.
Sometimes I can make it, and sometimes I can't. It's not something that I generally plan absolutely to be around, and sometimes I got other things if it's family or work or whatever it may be. So
I got you. Well, look, man, enjoy your show. A couple of years ago, you were kind enough to stop in the stairwell at the stadium and take a picture with me, and been listening to your show Bluetooth for a long time.
Cool, man. I really appreciate it, David. Thanks for calling. Thanks for listening over in Mississippi, man. I appreciate you.
You bet. Man.
Okay, man. Be well. That's David in Jackson, Mississippi. Got a few minutes here. Let me squeeze in Eric, who's been waiting. Hey, Eric, go ahead, man.
Hey, what is the total value of Pelini's contract?
So he signed a 3-year deal at $2.3 million per. So if you average that out over 3 years, that would be a $6.9 million contract.
So, I mean, the issue for me is that when Scott Woodward came over, and he does a lot of good things really well, but the thing that concerned me, and I think a lot of people when he was hired, was Jimbo Fisher, the 10-year, $75 million contract. So have we gotten that here with Pelini? I mean,
$75 million ain't $6 million, bro.
And it's not. But
hey, look, and here's the other thing,
you're
Eric.
running an $80 million deficit.
No, listen,
you're
here's
asking for donations.
Right. Here's the other thing I'll tell you, Eric. First of all, nobody plans for a global pandemic, right? Nobody ever puts together a budget and says, hey, we're going to be off $80 billion. It just that's not realistic.
Right.
So every business everywhere was hit by that.
Sure.
I'll tell you this too, with respect to Jimbo's contract, and I do bring this up from time to time. I think this is largely lost because it's more fun for rivals to point at 10 years, 75 and laugh. Ed Orgeron is making more than $7 million now.
Sure.
And I think, and I said this at the time Jimbo got the contract. First of all, Texas A&M has an endowment that I believe is the fourth largest in the country, behind only like Princeton, Yale, and Harvard.
Yes.
It's enormous. It's in the I think it's in the $30 billion range. A&M could cut that $75 million check every year for 10 years and and never think twice about it. So you're talking about financially a very different situation in College Station, and that's what it took for a program that's been aching for a national championship to get a championship-winning coach on campus. Now, we'll see if it pays off, and if it does in time, no one will ever bat an eye at that. The other thing that I said back then when they signed that deal is when you get to the 10th year of that contract, 10 years from now with the way salaries are escalating, Jimbo's going to be one of probably 20 coaches making $7 million a year. So I understand your point. I do, about does Woodward have a history of agreeing to bad contracts? That's what you're saying, and I totally understand the question. I think the Jimbo situation is an anomaly. I would look back more so at, is he a guy who can find a way to pull the resource to get done what he wanted, like getting Jimbo out, or because you still got to have someone agree to it, or like getting Chris Peterson to Seattle at UW. He's done those things successfully, and I think, let's not get it twisted, man. LSU is in a massively better situation with Scott Woodward running the show, and this is not even like that. We would even debate that. Quite honestly, is laughable.
Oh, and yet, aren't they friends?
Who?
Woodward and Pelini.
I don't know if Scott and Wood and Bo are friends. I really don't know that.
I think I read somewhere that they've been friends for 10 years, and
they might be. And if they are,
when
cool.
Woodward
A lot
was
of
asked
people
about it.
Look, Eric. A lot of people in this profession cross paths along the way and remain friendly. That's not altogether uncommon. You know, maybe they have crossed paths somewhere. I don't think Scott wasn't here in 2005, if I'm remembering when Bo was hired. They might have actually had a little bit of overlap, but the point remains. I think that's negligible here. Whether they're friends or not, that happens, and that I don't think is even a problem. If you're at LSU and you're hiring a defensive coordinator and the going rate and what it costs is $2 million, that's what you pay. And I get it when you say, well, nobody was going after Bo. Well, the reality is nobody was going after Ed when they hired him and they gave him $4 million a year. It's just what you pay. I mean, I don't like it. I think that's screwy. And Eric, thank you for the call. I think that part of college athletics needs to be reformed with how these contracts are done, but that's how contracts are done right now. And I'm not saying it's okay. And my hope is actually that COVID, and by the way, Eric, I'm not mad at you. Like your question is very valid. I think a lot of people are thinking the exact same thing. But my hope really is with COVID and all this, it does cause athletic departments to tighten the belt a little bit and be more mindful about not only the contracts, but more importantly, the buyouts. I have no problem giving Bo Pelini $2.3 million a year if he has a great defense. The problem is when he stinks and you want to get rid of him and you can't because you're stuck with this awful contract. All right, it's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break, go around the SEC. As I mentioned, if y'all can be patient, we'll get to as many of your calls, texts, emails, tweets as we can today. You can watch us on the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel and comment there in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat if you have not done so yet. Glad you're here. Saints receiver Juwan Johnson also in 27 minutes. Stick around.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson, Bluebonnet. Dine in, carry out 24 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, sports on TV. That's Pluckers. Hey, tonight, every Monday, all-you-can-eat wings. You know what else you got tonight? Monday Night Football. We got Bucks, Giants. I know. But maybe the Bucks get a bad case of food poisoning and lose in New York. We can hope, can't we? Bucks, Giants tonight on Monday Night Football. You need a place to watch. You can always get by Pluckers. Nicholson just south of campus. Bluebonnet right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. Dine in or carry out, but of course Monday's a great chance to go dine in because it's all you can eat wings. Pay one low price, eat as many wings as you want all throughout the evening. Go watch Monday Night Football on 64 50-inch flat screens at Pluckers. Nicholson, Bluebonnet, dine in, carry out. Tonight and every Monday, all you can eat wings at Pluckers, where if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana Products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana Barbecue Sauce, Louisiana Molasses Mustard, Spicy and Sweet Barbecue Rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as a bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This isn't just another day, it's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Truthfully, it wasn't all bad this weekend. LSU did land 2 commits, including Sage Ryan, number 1 safety in the country for 2021. Out of Lafayette Christian. It was thought middle of last week that he was going to Bama. I don't know what LSU did from Wednesday last week until Saturday at noon. Woo, boy, they did something, and that's massive. Clearly a position of need, and you got the best one in the country. And then a day later, Jack Bech, of course, who's going to join us, by the way, coming up at 5:30 today. Jack Bech out of St. Thomas More in Lafayette, who's just a total stud, man. 6'2", 215, long strider, physical receiver, number 3 receiver in the state this year behind 2 elite blue-chip prospects and Chris Hilton and Brian Thomas. So Jack Bech committed as well. So congrats to Jack Bech on his commitment, Sage Ryan as well. And Ed Orgeron continues building one of the best classes in the country, and they are not done yet with 5 spots still to go. All right, it's After Further Review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. We do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Georgia Bulldogs.
Scary situation for safety Richard LeCount. He's been moved out of intensive care into a regular room. He was involved in a traffic accident in Athens on Saturday evening. LeCount expected to miss a few weeks after suffering a shoulder injury, several cuts and bruises. His injuries, though, will not require surgery. LeCount was riding a dirt bike when he struck a vehicle that was attempting to make a left turn. His mom told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution that her son was wearing a helmet, and that saved his life. LeCount's preseason All-American, selected as a team captain, but he will not be available this week when Georgia plays Florida.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
True freshman tight end DeMarcus Thomas was seriously injured Monday morning during the Rebels practice. Thomas had to be airlifted directly from the practice field. Said he did have movement. Lane Kiffin updated a report, said he did have movement and feeling in his body prior to being placed on the helicopter, which is great news. But Kiffin, in his press conference Monday, was clearly shaken. Thomas is a 6'1", 245-pounder. He did play in the Rebels' win Saturday over Vanderbilt. The Rebels have an open date this weekend. We'll certainly keep you posted on his health status as we learn more.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Freshman Key Lawrence might get an opportunity to play the nickel against Arkansas on Saturday. Lawrence was the top-rated signee in Tennessee's class this past year. He's been a backup cornerback, although he's played in every game, mostly at special teams and in a backup role. But he could start at nickel this weekend against Arkansas. He's also been playing some safety during the preseason.
The Florida Gators.
And the SEC has reprimanded and fined Florida coach Dan Mullen. Suspended several players following the brawl that broke out at halftime of the Gators' win Saturday against Missouri. Mullen has been fined $25,000. Of course, the tussle broke out after Florida coaches and players took umbrage to the hard hit on quarterback Kyle Trask before the end of the first half. 2 Florida players were ejected. 1 player from Mizzou was ejected. The SEC has also issued half-game suspensions for 2 Florida players, Zach Carter and Antoine Powell, and 3 Missouri players for this upcoming week. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products. They're online at gcopnet.com, gcopnet.com. If you need your office to stay more efficient, you need that office equipment, the copiers, scanners, fax machines, all in one. Our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products can help you out with offices in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, the North Shore, and Lafayette. The official office equipment provider of the New Orleans Saints, the LSU Tigers, the University of Louisiana at Lafayette Raging Cajuns. It is Gulf Coast Office Products. GCOPnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Let me see. Al patiently waited. Let me squeeze in Al before this break. Hey, Al, thanks for waiting, man. Go ahead.
Matt, it's funny you brought that up. I had a heated discussion with a lot of people this weekend because I was blaming this season solely on Pelini, and they kept saying, well, it's multiple things. And I kept going back to, if we had a good defense or even an average defense, what would our record be? 4-1, would you at least say? Maybe the only loss would be Auburn?
There's no reason to have lost to Mississippi State or Missouri. None.
Right. You'd be 4-1. And, you know, for the people that say, well, they're not going to do nothing, they can't afford to fire Pelini or get rid of Pelini even at the end of the year. You know what my answer to that is, Matt? Can you afford to keep him?
Well, that's what we talked about in the open today, Al. It's, you know, there is and anyone that's ever owned or operated a business understands the phrase, you got to know when to cut your losses. And the analogy I gave is if you're driving on a road that you know is a dead end, you can keep driving to the end, but eventually you're going to have to turn around. Quicker you do that and acknowledge it, fix it, the better. You know, I've said this so many times over the years. I'm not a guy that calls for people to be fired. I want to be clear. I'm not sitting here today on air demanding that Ogeron fire Bo Pelini. But if you're sitting here today thinking, okay, what could you possibly do that could turn this thing around now? It's just abundantly clear. You have talented players that are woefully underperforming, and that is a coaching issue. When you're continuing to make the same mistakes over and over again, that is a coaching issue. And these very talented players are clearly not playing for this defensive coaching staff headed by Ed Ogeron and Bo Pelini. And they played hard for Ed last year. So there's a very, very clear variable in here that needs to change, in my opinion. All right, it's after further review. We're not got a quick break. Come back. Told you we'll get to tons of your calls, texts, emails, tweets. Good news, the Saints won. Overtime over the Bears, 26-23. Saints have now won 4 in a row. Juwan Johnson made his NFL debut, his first catch this past week, and he's going to join us in 15 minutes. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Premier South Roofing and PremierSouthLA.com. 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 Baton Rouge, Lafayette, North Shore, Lake Charles are all over South Louisiana. It's Premier South Roofing. A-plus rated with the Better Business Bureau. Super Service Award from Angie's List. Torch Award for Ethics in Business. That's Premier South Roofing. They hand make their own, they fabricate their own metals. They hand nail every shingle. They take the time to do it right. So you know you can stand by the work that they do. It's Premier South Roofing. I know a lot of people with the storms that have come through with Zeta, obviously this past week. If you were impacted by Zeta or Laura or Delta, Premier South Roofing is here to help you and this entire community in all of South Louisiana that's been impacted by the storms. And you can trust our friends at Premier South Roofing. Online at PremierSouthLA.com. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Lake Charles, and the North Shore. It's Premier South Roofing and PremierSouthLA.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Hi, this is Chance Inman, President and Chief Operating Officer for Janney-King Gulf Coast. Here are some ways to protect yourself and those around you from the coronavirus. Wash your hands often and thoroughly. Cover coughs and sneezes with your elbow. Disinfect high-touch surfaces regularly. Use non-contact methods for greeting others. And avoid touching your face. Following these steps, as well as social distancing, should help all of us stay healthy.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one, but 2 NMEA certified techs. Who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays? You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front to Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech. Make your boating dreams come true. Front to Back Boat Services.
$10,000 off MSRP on a new 2020 Ford F-150. Buy a new one for less than a used one. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty, and with Bayou to You, free delivery.
War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Do we see the confetti fall? Be ready for war. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. bringing that to
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
There's a comment in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat from Cortland Jacob. Said, I've seen Bo Pelini coach good defense. I haven't seen these players play good defense. Oh, really? Well, Neil Farrell Jr. Just a season ago. Played in all 15 games, 46 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 3 sacks. This year, through 5 games, 8 tackles. You want more? You want me to talk about Jacoby Stevens? The guy who, in his role last year, was really disruptive. Came back, got the 7 jersey. Do you really want to talk about not having seen any of these guys play good defense? Look, man, here's the reality. Because some of you are saying, I see on Twitter and some of your comments saying, you keep blaming Bo, but it's the players. Listen to the commentators. They can't even contain the outside. Right. Players have to execute a scheme that's called. Do you honestly think that Ali Gay, Andre Anthony, B.J. Ojolari, Jarrell Cherry, there's no human that was a 4 or 5-star guy that LSU could put in the game that can set an edge? You don't think there's any human that you could just say, hey, look, here's what I need you to do. I just need you not to get pushed inside. That's all I need you to do. The bottom line is, listen, to the person who mentioned about Bo coaching good defenses, that's fine. Your past accomplishments can carry you a good ways. Les Miles won a national championship. He got fired. What's he doing now? You can get hired on your past accomplishments, but retaining your job is about what have you done for me lately? In 5 games, I'll go back to what I said to start the show today. It's not been that they're losing. It's when you are losing in historic manners week after week, that is alarming. You can't ignore it. It's one thing if you played a really hard-fought game and you had a young guy go left instead of right and maybe you had a bust or something like that in the first game against State and you lost. You gave up 600 yards to a team that's been woefully inept against everyone else they've played. These players are not playing for this staff. I don't know how you can even fathom an argument to the contrary. Let's get Ronnie and Metairie in here. Hey, Ronnie, what's up?
Hello.
Hey, Ronnie, go ahead, man.
Hey, yep. I wanted to ask you, I was watching the Morning Scone yesterday, and you had mentioned more with Jamar Chase, and I know you may not want to go into it. And when Jordy and T-Bob had his dad on, he tweeted out something about the perfect storm with political stuff, social injustice, and the pandemic. And they never asked him a question about that. Is that kind of what you were getting into yesterday when you said you didn't want to get into it too much? And do you think that's kind of the fallout we're experiencing right now?
Specifically with Jamar, no. No, I don't. Everything else, you probably have to go ask players individually. So, Ronnie, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the call. So Ronnie's referencing something I meant. So I do a Facebook Live show every day called Morning Scone on my Facebook page, and someone was asking, did Jamar opt out because he saw this? He saw the writing on the wall, and I said, no. There's more to the Jamar story that people don't know, and I'm not going to be the one to tell that story. So. Maybe Jamar will. It's his story to tell. Unless if someone wants to say something on the record. But I think it was the reason I said that was to squash the idea that Jamar Chase was looking at the situation going, oh, man, they're going to be terrible. I'm leaving. That's not why Jamar Chase opted out. Let me squeeze in Lamar, who's in Savannah, Georgia. Hey, Lamar, go ahead.
How you doing, Matt?
I'm good, man. Thank you. Thanks for calling.
Yeah. After listening to you talk for a while I was on hold, it kind of makes my question feel a little bit small potatoes compared to the grand scheme of things. Is why LSU is having all this trouble. But you think some jet motions can help out the O-line and the running game, and then as a result help the quarterback out, stop these linebackers and maybe some of the defensive linemen coming downhill on LSU so hard? I'll let you talk.
Okay, Lamar. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, I do. But I also know that going into this game, LSU was averaging 42 points a game, and what they were doing really was working. I think this was a game where you just got annihilated. And, yeah, to answer your question, yes. The tough part about that is becoming predictable by personnel. For example, we knew DJ Chark was always the guy that was the jet sweep guy with Matt Canada. If it were, say, Trey Palmer this year, he goes in the game, you know what they're going to do. But to your point, yes, I wouldn't rip any pages out of the playbook. All right, hour 2 next.
AFR.
Hey, y'all, this Thursday, the day we've been telling you about, it's the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana's Christmas in November. It is the biggest one-day sale of the year. All of their specials, all their services, all of their products, extremely discounted. These are the best prices of the year. There are also amazing giveaways. People will come out just on this day to make their purchase, even if they don't intend to use it right now, but to purchase it now at this price to have for later. Great idea for gifts, holiday gifts, if you're starting to think ahead that way as well. This Thursday, Christmas in November, at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, on Bluebonnet, near Perkins, gorgeous building. You won't be able to miss it. Big tent out front. They'll have giant spotlights. They do it to the nines. But catered food, open bar with beer and wine and champagne. You get to meet the staff, tour the facility, live music. It's a great time. Come on out and join us. Christmas in November, this Thursday at the Aesthetic Medicine Anti-Aging Clinics of
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Gulf Coast Bank & Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as a bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank & Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hello?
What's up, E? What you doing?
Chilling at the office working. You?
Hanging at the job site. Chilling.
Roof's up?
Hey, Greg, roof up? Roof's up. Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up! Roof's up! Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
Choose your fighter. Dax, 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 with antioxidant vitamin C.
Given the choice, why wouldn't you choose the one with antioxidant vitamin C? Choose Vizzy Hard Seltzer.
Do you know someone who sets a good example for all of us to follow? Someone who, without being asked, shows leadership, selflessness, and service to their community? We believe that's the definition of a good citizen, and so does Citizens Bank and Trust.
So, if you know someone that sounds like what Jordy was just describing, nominate them to be your good citizen, and they'll have a chance to win $500 from Citizens Bank and Trust. Plus, we'll mention him right here on the show. So go to citizensbankandtrust.com for more details and nominate your good citizen.
This was us 20 years ago. Since then, we've grown to over 200 employees. We've helped over 100,000 people purchase, build, renovate, or refinance. Over $17 billion in loans. We make the mortgage process easy and convenient. Apply online or at one of our local branches. If you're looking to buy, build, renovate, or refinance, go to gmfsmortgage.com to see how we can help change your life today.
Well, the reason why I would recommend him because he's trustworthy. I mean, attention and love and respect of who you are, what you are, and the purpose why you came, he honors that. Once you're with Murphy, you got a friend.
Callahan Injury Lawyers.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. At this hour, the injury hits just keep coming for the 49ers. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo expected to miss at least 6 weeks with a high ankle sprain. Tight end George Kittle expected to be out at least 8 weeks with a broken bone in his foot. The NFL suspended Bears receiver Javon Wims 2 games for throwing a sucker punch yesterday. Tom Brady leads the surging Buccaneers against the Giants on Monday Night Football tonight. Tampa Bay's won 5 of 7, and in the last 5 games, Brady's got 15 touchdown passes and just 1 interception. One thing the Giants defense must do tonight, get pressure in Brady's face, advises Monday Night Football analyst Louis Riddick.
You have to absolutely assault the area between the guards as far as pass protection is concerned. And before they do that, they have to make sure that they slow down what is turning out to be an improving running game for Tampa so they can get him in second and long, third and long, where from a percentage standpoint, you know they're going to throw the football and try and take shots downtown.
Louis Riddick with Keyshawn Johnson, Jay Williams, and Zubin Mehenti this morning. Monday Night Football kicks off at 8:15 Eastern, ESPN TV and the ESPN app.
Church's new chicken sandwich is finally here. With almost 70 years in the kitchen, you can bet we put the work in to make it worth it. It's everything you love about Church's between 2 buns. Get it today, just $3.99. Thanks for waiting. Church's, bringing that down-home flavor.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, up we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
The Brain. And Mr. Toby Tomplett. We're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Glad to have you hanging out with us here on a Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows. Ton to get to. Of course, disappointing weekend for the Saints, for LSU, but a huge weekend for the Saints as they won their 4th in a row. And a guy who saw his first NFL reception is about to join us, but he's probably better known actually for this video, which went viral last week.
Shannon, I gotta tell you something.
Yes, sir.
Supposed to be playing this week.
No, you're not.
Yeah, huh?
Are you lying to me?
Yeah, nah, girl, I'm not.
Are you lying?
I'm not.
Get out of town.
That is Saints wide receiver Juwan Johnson, who put that on his TikTok, letting his wife know that he was going to play for the first time. Juwan Johnson joins us on AFR. Juwan, thanks for the time, man. How are you?
Absolutely. I'm great. Appreciate you guys having me on here.
Dude, it's absolutely my pleasure, man. All right, I got to talk. We're going to talk football. We'll talk about the game yesterday, your first action, all this stuff. But, was that your first ever viral piece of social media?
It actually hasn't been. We've actually put up some surprisingly good content that's just been hitting the platform on, SportsCenter, Gridiron, and things like that. That's just been kind of just out of nowhere. We didn't know that it was going to be good videos. We just put it up, really just a surpriser, and things just happened to really just go viral out of nowhere.
So is it Ju and Chan? I mean, is that how I say it?
Yeah, it's Ju and Shan. My wife Shannon. It's short for Shan. Yeah.
Got it. Dude. So I'm looking at your TikTok right now. It's crazy. You got almost 500,000 followers. So I try to explain this. So I've kind of been one of the early kind of pushing TikTok as well. It's not just teenagers dancing. You put content in there, and it blows up. But like you're evidence of this. So like, give me I'm looking at your TikTok right now. Like, give me an example. What's another one y'all did that popped?
Yeah, so we did one where it was ways to be in a relationship during the season. How's it having a wife or a girlfriend during the season, and that sort of blew up. And then we did a questionnaire, like someone put up a sound of people asking us questions saying who loves who more and things like that. And that one went viral. We had another one that went viral of me doing a lot of treatment beforehand, and her just showing me like her showing her perspective on what he does during the season, how he gets treatment, and then how he plays. And now she misses me on the weekend. And so it's just like a bunch of things. It's just like, man, like how did that go viral? How did we know that this was going to go viral? And it was insane. It was really insane.
You don't know, because if you did, everybody would create content that goes viral all the time. That's the nature of virality. But the one we just talked about has got 3.4 million views on it. When did you know? Like, do you have your notifications active? Like, so whenever it goes, you're just like ding, 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 ding. Like, when did you know it was starting to pop?
Me and my wife, we usually find out if a video is going to do really well within the first hour. So in the first hour, if it's past like 100K, and that's like really rare, we're just like, wow, this video is going to do really well. And we usually find out around the first hour. We're just like, all right, we're around that track of where it should be pretty good, or it's not going to be as good. So we usually find out around the first hour or two.
So I clip a lot of stuff from this show and put it on TikTok. Usually like when I'm ranting and I get all red-faced and I'm sweating and stuff. And those do pretty well. So like, can you want to like say or do something here that I can put on TikTok that might do well? I don't know, like you want to sing a song or something?
Yeah.
Just think it over. Maybe I'll circle back to you. All right, so let's talk about like getting on. I want to go back to and talk about coming to New Orleans and all that, but let's start with getting on the field. I mean, as a guy who, you start at Penn State, you go to Oregon, you go the undrafted free agent route, you finally find out you're going to play, you get on the field, you're in a game with the Saints, you're catching a pass from Drew Brees. Like, talk me through that, the emotions of all the sacrifice to get to that moment of being on the field.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, just going through all of it, I mean, and keep a long story short, it's honestly, if you've been through just a lot of downs in your life, it's just like another one. Just treat it like another one. And if you've already been through the process of, going through a lot of downs, you just have to be resilient in a lot of things. The one good thing I heard is that a good tree isn't planted and grown in one day. So when a seed is planted, it always goes down and grows roots, and then it grows upward. So that's the one thing I always kept in my mind, going through the combine process, and then being undrafted, which was upsetting, but then knowing they had to grind, and then going to the Saints, and then being cut, and then being signed to the practice squad was just another, not a hit, but just like, all right, it's just more motivation. And then just grinding. I mean, just grinding ever since, being on P Squad, going up against Marshawn and Jack Rabbit literally every day made me even a better receiver. And then going up against those guys, and then eventually get my way up, and then going into games, I'm just like, man, like I go up against the best corners every day. So this is like nothing.
So you got your first career reception yesterday.
Right.
Like, my guess is, 20 years from now, you'll still be telling the story about your first career catch, a pass from Drew Brees. I mean, it's 5 yards, but it's kind of like catching the fish, right? Over time, the fish gets bigger. So, like,
right.
So practice telling your story now that you'll tell in 20 years to your grandkids when you're like, yeah, the first time Papa ever caught a pass. Like, talk me through the route and what it was like catching your first pass.
Yeah, so actually we called a play, and I was first person to run a go. And then it was actually checked because of the defense, and they happened to be in man. So I knew we were going to be running something different, and I just ran across the guy's face. And it was a wobbly ball because it got batted. And so at first I knew it was going to come to me. I just knew I knew the coverage, and I was like, man, this ball is coming to me. So I was like, all right, so man, just got to make a play. It was third down, so I was like, all right, let's just make a play so we can stay on the field. Ball actually got batted, so I was like, all right, so it's just going to be in the air for a little bit. And I just try to put my body in the way I can position so I can catch it. I knew it was wobbly, so I had the body catch it. And I just tried to catch it and fall. I didn't think I was going to get many yards out of it because it was batted. But I just try to do the best I can just so I can make a play and get us in the field goal position and put some points on the board. So it was really crazy just catching the pass from Drew Brees. Like, catching from him in practice, but it's different when you catch it in the game.
Another in a long line of receivers that have caught a pass from Drew Brees in his Hall of Fame career. I mean, let me ask what it's like as a guy who clearly in your entire football playing career, your awareness of the New Orleans Saints has been with Drew Brees at quarterback. I mean, he's been there for 15 years. So as a guy that's 24, I mean, that's all you've really ever known. So now you're catching a pass from him. What's it like, man, in the huddle and Drew Brees? There's Drew Brees calling the play. There's 9 at practice. What's it like working with Drew Brees?
It's honestly so real. And just knowing how detailed he is, his routine and the way he prepares and just the way that he is, just around the facility. I mean, it's honestly incredible just to see how he is. I mean, that's something that you want to emulate and kind of just put not only in your game, but just in your life, just the routine that he has. And that's something that you just want to be like, man, I want to do this so I can be just as great as him or play just as long as him, prepare just as much as him. So, when he goes on the field, he's ready. I mean, just the things that he does, he remembers the plays, like just rambling just regurgitating those words. It's just so many words that come out the huddle. You're just like, what? And all I have to do is just, do my part. But he has to do 10 other parts, and it's just crazy.
Give me an example. Like, what does a play call sound like when Drew Brees calls like a long rambling play? Could you even call an entire play?
Honestly, me personally, I cannot call an entire play. It's just like reading It's just like reading a paragraph. And honestly, he remembers every single word. And he knows everybody what they're doing. And it's just crazy. I'm just like, how do you know this? He doesn't need like a wristband to tell him what he has to do or says the words. He just goes out there and says it. He's just been in it so long. He doesn't really have to read off anything. He just does it, play it, and it makes it happen. It's so impressive to see it every single game.
Saints wide receiver Juwan Johnson with us here for a couple of more minutes. What was the post-game locker room celebration like? This is the first post-game locker room videos we've seen in a while. There's such a thing the past couple of years. The smoke machines, the lights, and everything. What was it like being in there yesterday in Chicago?
It was awesome, man. It was really awesome. I mean, just seeing those guys. You're seeing really grown men acting like kids after a win, and it's awesome to see because I know it's hard to come by wins in this league, and just pulling out a win like that we did yesterday in overtime, it was huge. It was huge for that game. It was huge for our team. It's definitely huge for the season. Just another win just to put in our win column, just so we can keep going and going towards our mission. So it was really good to see those guys celebrating, having fun. It was good to see.
Do you know what this week is like for you, as we're assuming Mike Thomas will be back and Emmanuel Sanders will be back? Do you know what this week will be for you, what the rest of the season will be like?
I do not. But the one thing all I can do is just keep preparing. I mean, just keep doing what I'm doing. I mean, preparing like I'm going to play, prepare like I'm going to start, and keep my body healthy and just keep preparing. I mean, that's the biggest thing that all of us can ask for. I mean, the one thing we know how crazy this league is, how people get injured, people get suspended. You just never know. And I just always have to stay ready.
Juwan Johnson, Saints wide receiver. Make sure you're following him on TikTok as well. Juwan Chan, Juandchan. You'll see it. So we can see his next certainly viral video. Last thing before you go, man. Time very much appreciated. Are you more of a Penn State or an Oregon fan?
Ooh. Honestly, I might have to split that down the middle, and here's the reason why. I graduated from Penn State, but I definitely had great memories at Oregon. And so that's why I can't really depict whether I claim Penn State or Oregon more. So it's probably going to have to be split down the middle.
What do you think about Penn State starting 0-2?
It's tough, but, I mean, there's a lot of great teams who came out of 0-2 and made a big run. So we're going to see. We're going to see how they respond.
I love the positivity.
You got to stay positive.
In an 8-game season, 0-2, it's toast, man. Enjoy whatever bowl game may come of it, but it's over. You still got Oregon to hang your hat on. They start this weekend.
That's very true.
But more importantly, of course, that the black and gold got the win. That's 4 straight for the Saints, and Juwan Johnson had his first career catch. Follow him on all social media. Juwan Johnson, we appreciate it, man. Thanks for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. Take care, guys.
Our pleasure. Fun guy, man. Appreciate talking to him. I can appreciate so much the guys that have gone that route, right? I mean, he's 24 years old. He's at Penn State, had a really good career, grad transfer, goes to Oregon, and plays that year. The disappointment of not being drafted, signs on with the Saints in a COVID year, still earns a roster spot and then gets on the field. Really cool. So congrats to Juwan Johnson. Make sure you're following him on all the social media as well. All right, it's after further review. We'll knock out a quick break. Come back. A lot of you have been waiting. We'll get to your calls, texts, emails, tweets. Saints win, but LSU with an historic loss. And obviously when you have a loss like that, that's garnering much of the attention. That was really the entire first hour. So we'll get back to that. If you want, there's a couple of lines that opened up while we're talking to Juwan, so feel free to join us. 499-1045. 499-1045 or toll free 844-568. Matt, it is after further review.
AFR.
Fall is officially here, y'all, on the calendar and with the temperature. If you look around, we're getting into the 40s at night. It is officially fall, and we are headed toward winter, and this is the best time to plant trees and shrubs. That's why you got to get by Clegg's Nursery. With 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area, this is the time when the planting conditions for trees and shrubs are best. So get by any of the Clegg's Nursery locations. They got full greenhouses. If it's not trees or plants, maybe you want those, or shrubs, maybe you want those fall bedding plants for your flower beds or for your patio pots. It's a great time right now to add some color, some fall color to your outdoor space around your house, and Clegg's Nursery can help. Now remember also, if you're checking off those honeydews, Clegg's Nursery is partnered with True Value Hardware Store. So anything you'd find at a True Value Hardware Store, from tools and hammers and nails to duct tape and trash bags to snake away. They got it all at Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local, and tell them Matt sent you in. To Clegg's Nursery.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
I mean, you guys are out on the front lines fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, we are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Auctioner Health.
At Corval Toyota in Opelousas, you can get into a 2020 Highlander for $4,500 off MSRP. That's right, $4,500 off MSRP. Hurry in, they won't last long. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Started making beer at home and immediately fell in love with it. After like the day of my first batch of brewing, I was already thinking, can I do this for a living?
Oh yeah, obsessed with it. He was totally consumed by it, and then looked at me one day and told me I was put on this earth to brew beer. And I was like, wow, that is such a bold statement. And if you can say that about anything, then you need to follow your dream and do it.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Peyton was awesome the whole time, like so friendly, you know, very quick to just come up, like let me know if there's anything you need, and just really make you feel like you're taken care of and you're kind of.
after further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
I'm glad you're rolling along with us here. Appreciate our friends at Relief Windows, Windows Doors Siding, Relief Windows, and reliefwindows.com. LSU loses to Auburn in historic fashion, 37-point loss, the worst margin in the history of the LSU-Auburn series. Also LSU's worst loss since the Florida game back in 1996, quarter century since LSU's lost a game as badly as they did on Saturday, and it felt it, especially considering the opponent and the struggles that particular opponent has had throughout the course of this season. But LSU and Ed Orgeron trying to get it right. Ed had his weekly press conference today via Zoom, and I'm going to come to some of your calls here in just a second. I appreciate everyone who's been patient and waiting and waited. A couple of things, though, as Ed Orgeron did go through today. He did talk about what went wrong on Saturday at Auburn.
All right, guys, tell the truth Monday. We started with -2, and the turnover ratio was unusual for our team. We were +6 going into the game. Those turnovers turned into 21 points really fast. Our defense was playing the best it's played for a while, for a quarter. Obviously, we got to play for 60 minutes. I was really disappointed with the play of the offensive line. I thought we'd play a lot better. We only had 32 yards rushing. Gave up 4 sacks. And, a lot of that was one-on-one blocking, physicality, and disappointed in that.
Offensive line and the defensive line both got whipped all day long. A lot of people are asking for an update on Miles Brennan, which Ed Orgeron did provide.
We're going to throw the ball with him a little bit today. He's going to try to get into the offense, see what he can do. He's not ready yet. It's day by day, and I don't know if he's going to be ready for the Alabama game. I think we'll know a little bit more next week. We're going to try to let him do a couple of things today, see how he can do it.
So not sure if Miles is going to play. They did ask for a follow-up later, and Ed candidly said they're not sure if he's going to be able to play against Alabama. We've gone through that timeline a good bit, 4 to 6 week injury, no surgery available, just got to be time, and then a pain tolerance type situation. It would probably make sense that Miles might be available for Alabama, so we'll see how that goes. Ed Orgeron did also say that if TJ Finley had played really well against Auburn, he would have locked it up, but he didn't, so competition if Miles isn't ready to go. But Ed was also asked, what they do. How do they fix the defensive issues right now?
About eye discipline, about gap fix. We simplified about as much as we can simplify, to be honest with you. And now it's either change a couple of things up to make it easier for our guys, play something different, or whatever we're going to play, we got to make sure we master it. And then, if you play the same defense, people are going to have a game plan against you. And you better be good, or you better have some adjustments. And that's the point where we're at. I think we need to make better adjustments for our players. And I think our players that, once they know what to do, they got to have great eye discipline and execute.
Just doesn't sound like he's got a lot of great answers. When you're 5 games in and you keep seeing the same issues over and over again, how do you fix it? I don't know how you fix it. When you're talking about eye discipline and effort, you can only mention eye discipline and effort so many times before you got to find a way to fix eye discipline and effort. Billings, Montana. Jordan is up. Hey, Jordan, thanks for listening up in Billings, Montana, man.
Hey, what's up, Matt? How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, thank you.
Look, man, I wanted to get your thoughts. A lot of plays that really stuck in my craw, but one in particular in the first quarter. TJ Finley ran and gave himself up, slid kind of late.
Yeah.
And one of their, I think, his defensive lineman, linebacker, whatever, took what I would consider a chicken, what shot on him.
Yeah.
Knocked his helmet off. And not only do none of our offensive linemen get in this guy's face and kind of give him the business, one of our linemen put our hand out and helped this guy up. And some people are like, okay, whatever, sportsmanship. Dude, when somebody takes a shot at your quarterback and the guys who are supposed to be the tone setters on your football team don't get in this guy's grill, that's just a lack of – we've talked about not playing for, the coaches, and I think that's kind of been beat on today. But, man, we're not even playing for each other. I mean, this is the quarterback, true freshman on the road, gets his helmet knocked off, and we're helping the guy up off the ground. I just thought – I'll get your thoughts, man. I just thought it really speaks to lack of nastiness, want to, physicality, toughness on this football field. And I'll hang up and listen. Thanks, bud.
Okay, Jordan, thank you. Up in Billings, Montana. You can always listen online at 1045ESPN.com or watch us on the Watch 1045 YouTube channel. Similar thing happened against South Carolina that I railed on when number 52 from South Carolina, I don't know his name, twice hit TJ Finley late. Once was in the first possession. He kind of crawled up his back and rubbed his face into the ground. And another was the personal foul that they did call where he went late and low on Finley, and neither time did any LSU player take issue with it. I completely agree with that. In some instances, you've got to police yourself on the field with physicality. I'm in complete agreement with that. The play in particular that you're talking about, and we haven't really talked much about the game itself yet because it doesn't feel like there's a lot to discuss. That was actually kind of at an important point in the game where they did throw the flag for targeting. They reviewed targeting and determined it was not. But even still, without targeting, my feeling was there still should have been a flag for unnecessary roughness since Finley had given himself up. That 15 yards would have continued the drive. Instead, it was 3rd and 4. They bring in Max Johnson. He throws the deep ball, which was incomplete, and LSU punts. So, and then on that ensuing possession is when Auburn threw the ball to Seth Williams when Stingley made the amazing individual effort, forcing the touchback. But then LSU came back and Finley threw the interception, and then we know where it went from there. So, but that was one of those instances where the game was still 0-0, and LSU was putting together first downs and was moving the football, and that was when for the short time that the game was still in doubt, that was a key play in that moment. Yes. Izzy is in Port Allen. Hey, Izzy.
Hey, Mac, how you doing? I'm glad you brought up about the players. I don't think they like bullying. I'll be honest with you. I thought about that after the game. I said, because they wasn't showing no enthusiasm. Act like they really didn't care what was going on. And everybody was talking about another thing. Finley, he's going to be a great quarterback, but I'm going to be honest with you. He's too damn young right now to really make a difference. And that's how I feel, and I'm going to hang up and listen to you.
Okay, Izzy. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the call. I did mention you and I agree on the Pelini thing. And listen, let me be clear, actually. I don't know if the players like or dislike Bo Pelini. I'm not at practice. I'm not in the locker room. I don't know. And I don't think that that's something that, candidly, people are going to say. But actions, as I often say, speak louder than words, and whether they like him or not is irrelevant. The question is, are they playing hard for this staff? And the answer is no. And several of you have referenced laughing on the sideline. Look, that's not just defense. I mean, John Emery was one of those guys doing it. And I've pushed hard because I believe he's earned it on the field, the opportunity to play more. But John Emery was one of the guys when LSU's losing 48-11 at the end of the ball game, and their camera shots on the sideline, he's laughing. I mean, I'm not trying to call the kid out because he wasn't the only one. He was just the one that got caught on camera. But that signals a bigger issue. When you're getting your face kicked in like that, there's nothing funny. There's nothing worth laughing about. But that's a culture issue, and that clearly was a problem on Saturday and is right now. As far as the quarterback, I did mention this in the open, and it's worth repeating for those maybe who missed it then and are just joining us. I was a guy last week who lobbied hard for TJ Finley, and I'm not moving off that stance. Y'all, TJ Finley, when you watch him, if you go back and watch that first quarter, they were moving the football and making plays. And that's only part of the story. The other reality is you're talking about a guy that's 6'6", that's got a cannon, that just has a much higher ceiling. As much as we think of Miles Brennan as this veteran player, he's played in 3 games with 1 win. Finley started 2 games with 1 win. Their game experience is what and what. So I watched Miles Brennan struggle against Mississippi State. And granted, he got exponentially better the next 2 weeks against Vanderbilt, and Missouri. But the other thing that I continue to hear in defense of Brennan is, well, he threw for more yards than any quarterback in his first 3 starts. Y'all, that is LSU propaganda. And listen, please don't misunderstand me. I like all of those. They're friends and colleagues, but their job when they work for LSU is to put out things that are complimentary of LSU. have we mentioned how many pass attempts Miles Brennan had in his first 3 starts? He was averaging over 40 attempts. Of course you're going to throw for more yards when you're attempting 40 passes a game. Like, context matters, man. TJ Finley threw 22 passes? There's 22 of 26 against South Carolina. Like, that context matters. And the really tough part is, I think, when we start talking about the quarterbacks, there's going to be this impression that you don't like somebody or you're trying to dog the guy. I don't think that's the case from my standpoint. And by the way, I want to be clear. I think as soon as Brennan's healthy, they're going back to him. I'm just telling you my opinion. Like, if in the next game, my coach will be my first. But if it were me thinking long-term, we've played this out before. Like, one guy has an exceptional skill set and a higher ceiling than the other. That's not even debatable. Eventually, you're going to have to make that decision. This season, you're at best going to be 4-6, and I don't think, if it's Brennan or Finley, I don't think you're beating Alabama. If it's Brennan or Finley or Johnson, I don't think you're winning at A&M. If it's Brennan, Finley, or Johnson, I don't think you're winning at Florida. And I don't know that any of you would disagree with that. Show of hands, would anybody disagree with that? Regardless of who plays quarterback, you're not winning those 3 road games. Similarly, if Miles Brennan was playing quarterback this last weekend against Auburn, when Finley was sacked 4 times, hit another 5 times, there were 7 tackles for loss, and LSU ran for 1.2 yards a carry, it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered who played quarterback. I'm not telling you Finley had a great day. He didn't. The two of the 3 turnovers are unacceptable, and you got to fix. But those are also things that you take with a young player that I'm willing to take because you don't have a championship season at stake. I'd rather him learn that lesson and be better for it in the future. Thanks for the call, Lizzie. I appreciate it, man. All right, it's After Further Review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. We'll knock out a quick break, come back, get to more of your calls, texts, emails, tweets, lots of ways you can get involved in the show. Also, want to get you an update on the Saints defensively, who traded for former LSU Tiger today. We'll delve into that. And also an update on Sheldon Rankins, who left the game yesterday with injury. In the meantime, Jim'sFirearms.net phone lines are open, 499-1045 if you want to join us. 499-1045 or toll-free 844-568-MATT, 844-568-6288. Lots of ways you can get involved in the show. Feel free to join us on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Ichiban, Essen near Perkins, Airline Highway in Gonzales, voted by you the best sushi and best hibachi in the Best of 225 awards. Make tonight an Ichiban night. Dine in or carry out. You can always order online as well at ichibanbr.com. That's ichibanbr.com. And they have curbside delivery as well. And I am fired up to tell you that from our friends at Ichiban, their newest concept is Boru Ramen. It's in the Electric Depot. That's on Government Street. If you take 110, you exit Government to the right, you go through the first light. It's the big red building on the left. That's the Electric Depot. Boru Ramen. Y'all, they hand make every noodle. The broth is a 30-hour process to make. Patrick Wong went to Tokyo and to New York City to train under the best ramen chefs in the world to bring this concept to Baton Rouge. Ichiban and Boru Ramen now open in Electric Depot on Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Saints got a win in Chicago on Sunday, 26-23 in overtime by the hardest. But like we often say, and as really a common refrain, it is really hard to win in the NFL, so you never make any apologies ever for how you get them. Just get wins, pile them up, get into the postseason healthy, playing your best, and try to go on a run and win a championship. Saints 26-23 in overtime in Chicago. Overall, I thought the Saints were efficient offensively, which was really good to see, especially considering you were that without Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders in this ballgame, and then also, of course, with Marquez Callaway's injury. They just found a way, and they continue to find a way now with 4 straight wins. This does feel reminiscent of what they did a year ago without Drew Brees, going 5-0 in that stretch. And when they got Brees back, they were ready to make a run. Yes, Brees at times has not looked like his usual self, but the last 2 weeks, it has looked like vintage Drew Brees, and he was that yesterday. Houdini-like at times. The one inaccurate pass he threw was at the end of the first half on what would have been the touchdown to Jared Cook, which was a little behind him, where Cook slipped. They went right back to the same play on the other side the next play and scored the touchdown. More precision in the 2-minute drill, which has just been impeccable for the Saints this year. So it has been I'd prefer not to see the Saints leading by 10 with 3 minutes to play and lose that lead and have to go to overtime. Certainly, I thought the game was over when Demario Davis stripped Cole Kmet. I hated the call. The beanbag came out on the field. If there were a whistle stopping forward progress, I think collectively we all could have looked and said, I blew the whistle and understood it. But bang, bang play in that moment, and the ref right on top of it threw the beanbag, ball came out. That should have been a forced fumble by Davis, a fumble recovery. Saints take a knee, and the game is over. But that's not how it played. They needed overtime. And while the defense continues to give up yards and at times points, they also continue to come up big in gigantic moments. Marcus Davenport last week with the sack on Teddy Bridgewater that pushed them really just a yard out of what proved to be a yard out of field goal range. And then last night in overtime, 2 sacks on the overtime drive, wasn't really a drive, possession, I should say, by the Bears, ultimately gave the Saints the ball back and the opportunity to go win the game. So great to see the Saints find a way to get a win again, and that sets up a massive game on Sunday Night Football. The Bucs play tonight against the Giants, so now the Saints get to go on the road to Tampa Sunday Night Football. Tampa will be on a short week traveling here tonight to play Monday Night Football against the Giants. So this will be back-to-back weeks now where the Saints have to travel, but they're playing teams coming on a short week. Of course, the Bears were on Monday Night Football last week, and now the Bucs are on Monday Night Football. So, yeah, the Saints have to travel back-to-back weeks, but they're playing opponents who are coming off of short weeks. So this will be the measuring stick. Candidly, right now, the Saints are not the best team in the NFL. The Saints are not the best team in the NFC, and I would argue candidly right now the Saints are not the best team in the NFC South. But that doesn't matter right now. What matters is stockpiling wins, getting healthy, and being your best when the postseason begins. And as much as we talk about the need for playoff seeding, remember, if the NFL goes to a postseason bubble this year, which there has been some discussion about, then there is no home field advantage. That's irrelevant. And we're in a year where only the top seed with the new playoff format gets a bye. So unless if you can jump Green Bay and Seattle, it's kind of, I hate to say it this way, but kind of irrelevant where you fall in the standings. Just get in and be playing your best. As far as personnel, we did learn, it's been reported by multiple, I know Nick Underhill had it, Luke Johnson had it, that Sheldon Rankins has a sprained MCL. Apparently the injury was so gruesome, Fox didn't even show it yesterday when they came out of break. And it was great to see Rankins walk off. This does not appear to be a season-ending injury, maybe a 3-week injury, according to some reports. So they will get Sheldon Rankins back. In the meantime, expect more of Malcolm Roach, of Shai Tuttle. And apparently we're going to see Quan Alexander as well. News breaking earlier today that the Saints have agreed to a deal with the 49ers to bring the former LSU linebacker to New Orleans. And Quan Alexander, who was originally a 4th-round draft pick of Tampa, last year signed a giant deal with San Francisco, ends up playing just a year and a half in San Fran on that 4-year, $54 million contract. Here's the thing I'll tell you about the Quan deal. So first of all, I love it. I love it. I don't know how many more times I can say it in how many different ways. The New Orleans Saints need to be all in this year to win a Super Bowl. All in. Every chip to the center. Without any regard for next year or the year after or the future of the organization, what it'll do for the salary cap in future years, none of it matters. The only thing that matters is recognizing this is it for Drew Brees. This is it for this run, the Peyton Brees era together. This is it. So you've got to be all in. All chips to the center, which is why I went so hard whenever they didn't go after Fournette and let him end up in Tampa. You got to be right now all in like Tampa is when they got Fournette, when they got Antonio Brown. Tampa keeps making moves because they recognize this could be it. This is your moment to win one with Brady, so go for it. New Orleans needs to have the same sense of urgency. So anything you're going to do to better your roster today, I'm for it. Now, Quan's got an ankle injury. He's missed 3 weeks, but he has been practicing. And so this means for a Saints defense that has really struggled to defend linebacker or tight ends and running backs, now you have another hybrid in the mold of Demario Davis that can play inside that can do that. I love adding Quan Alexander to the middle of this defense. Also, I'm perfectly fine giving up Kiko Alonso, who hadn't played this year, and a conditional 5th-round draft pick. I don't care about the assets as long as it makes you better today. There's also a very minimal financial risk in this deal. Quan Alexander he's due less than $1 million in base salary this year. The Saints will have to make a decision for next season, however. He's due $13.4 million next year and $13.5 million in 2022. Now, next year, only $2 million is guaranteed. So if he's not on the roster next year, you have a very manageable dead cap number. So really, this was done for this year. This was basically trade a draft pick and a player that you're not using in exchange for a player that could be of value. And for San Francisco, they looked at it as salary dump. Great. If Quan Alexander is only here for 9 games, all right, let's go get it. If this guy helps you win a Super Bowl, all good. Financially, roster management, all of this works out. It helps your pass defense where you've been vulnerable. Of course, Tampa has been using their tight ends, and obviously that's something you're going to have to face. The way that Las Vegas abused you with Darren Waller. Yes, I be all in, and I love this move. So glad to see Quan Alexander coming back to the boot. Certainly a player at a position of need for New Orleans. All right, after further review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. Monday edition of AFR. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll wrap up hour number 2. Brain will have Tigers in the pros. I got a busy third hour as well. Jack Bech, LSU commitment. Jack Bech will be with us 45 minutes from right now, bottom of hour 3. So stay tuned for that. We'll knock out a quick break. Brain will have Tigers in the pros. Stick around.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Insurance Network of Louisiana. They're online at lainsurance.net, lainsurance.net. Better coverage for less money. Insurance Network of Louisiana. They're open for another 15 minutes, so you can certainly call right now at 293-0450, 293-0450, or you can log on to lainsurance.net. Bottom line is, and I say it every day, every one of us has to have insurance by law, and so many of us are overpaying and underinsured. Be like Rick and Willa, a couple of AFR viewers every single day. Been with State Farm for 40 years. They were able to lower their hurricane deductible from $15,000 to $2,500 and saved $2,200 annually. Better coverage, less money. Let Insurance Network of Louisiana shop for free. 293-0450, 293-0450.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one but 2 NMEA certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front to Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech. Make your boating dreams come true. Front to Back Boat Services.
When morning came to Louisiana, we were hopeful, not hibernating. We were mending fences, feeding neighbors, and holding our kids. When morning came to Louisiana, we were wide awake, planting seeds for next year's crops. We were stronger, ready for what's next. And together, as we build anew, Blue Cross stands ready to support you.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Prompt,
Professional, reliable. If you're looking for a breath of fresh air with your AC and heating needs, call the professionals at Anison Bitter. Anison Bitter, a Rheem Pro partner, keeping your family comfortable for over 25 years.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Oh, we get to Brain with Tigers in the Pros. Just a quick second. Let me not make Debbie wait through that. Debbie, thanks for your patience. You go ahead.
Hey, Matt. I just kind of wanted to go back to the LSU quarterback. I just kind of don't agree with you on that TJ Finley.
Did I lose her? Hey, Debbie.
No, I'm here.
There you go. Okay, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I just don't kind of agree with you on the statements you said about the LSU quarterback.
Okay.
I just think Brennan has had 2 years to learn the offense and was very smooth out there, even though he had, he had a bad game or he made some mistakes. But you can tell that TJ Finley is not ready for the game. I mean, you
looked
can
like
see
it against South Carolina.
Well, you did, but you don't know how much Insminger had to coach him up to get him there. Okay?
However
So
much
let's
he had to coach him, he still looked pretty good.
I agree, but let's talk about this game where he held the ball up over his head like duck, duck, goose, goose in a college ball game.
Bad
Let's
play.
talk.
Kind of
very bad
like
play.
Miles Brennan's 2 turnovers against Mississippi State, and he's a fourth-year player. Here's the problem, though, Debbie, and I'll let you finish. But the problem is, it's almost impossible to have this conversation without the assumption that I'm dogging Miles Brennan, which I'm not. I think Brennan's a good player and could be a really good quarterback in the SEC. I think the analogy I gave last week is what I'll stick to, which is, Georgia had Jake Fromm and Justin Fields, and they picked Jake Fromm. And that was the wrong choice. Jake Fromm was a very good college quarterback. Justin Fields is an elite talent. It's going to be a top 10 pick. What I'm telling you is I think Miles Brennan is a really good college quarterback. I'm just telling you, I think TJ Finley has the potential to be so much more. It's like when Nick Saban had to choose between Jalen and Tua. Jalen had already taken them to a national championship game, but he looked at Tua and said, this is a generational talent. I got to play the guy that's the generational talent. So, that's my only point there, Debbie. It's like sports is a meritocracy. If somebody's better, I got to play the better guy, and I think Finley's the better guy. That's all it is.
Well, I know, and we won't agree on that just because, like I said, I don't think that Miles has had a chance in 3 games to get his point across.
And neither is TJ, though. But the point is, though, Debbie, you're talking about 3 games.
You haven't given Mac Johnson a chance either.
Well, Ed Ogeron had that decision to make when they went into practice, and they decided that Finley was better than Johnson in that. And, it'll play out in time with all that. But, I understand your point, Debbie. And there's no, right answer today. But I can look at one guy that's 6'6", with a cannon for an arm, that had tremendous poise in his first game ever, and I just see so much more potential there, and that's my only point.
These people who are jumping on Insmingers now, we had one good bad game in offense. I feel our first 3 games was enough to win the game. We did not win the game.
I agree,
but I feel like our offense played well enough. But those kids are still playing. I think they're playing as hard as they can. They've been dealt with this quarterback issue, but though you can tell those kids are still putting out on the field. You can't say that about the defense. And I think Insminger's taken a raw deal here because he's been the one bright spot since he came on to LSU as offensive coordinator. So I think they're giving him a raw deal saying that was Joe Brady's offense and Insminger ain't had nothing to do with it and we need to get rid of him. I don't think they're giving that man a fair shake, everything that he's put into this program.
Debbie,
and I'll just hang up and let you comment, babe.
On that, you and I will absolutely agree. I couldn't, I'm short on time. Brain, Tigers in the Pros. Debbie and I agree.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Kentucky's Best Hemp. Find them online at kysbesthemp.com.
Quan Alexander's been traded to the Saints.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't have my notes in.
That was my lead. So I think we just covered all of it,
Got
right?
it.
Got the 54. Hey, the physicals. It does have to. They have to clear the physicals, which is kind of a thing since both players are coming off injuries.
Oh.
But yeah. putting a button on Quan Alexander. Moving on, Joe Burrow got his second win of the season.
Yeah.
Burrow, 26 of 37 for 249 yards and 2 touchdowns in the Bengals' 31-20 win over the Titans yesterday.
Did you see his whoop-de-doop play?
I did not.
Oh, my God.
No, I saw the Saints yesterday, and that was it.
The play that he made against Georgia, left, right, up, down, back, roll, throw across, he did that again.
Sweet.
But this was in the NFL.
I'll go find it. Jarvis Landry led Cleveland in receiving yesterday, such as it was without Odell.
Juice.
Bro, 4 catches for 52 yards, and that was it.
Cleveland's missing a pretty dynamic player, it turns out.
Oh, man. Tyrann Mathieu had 5 tackles and a tackle for loss yesterday. In that same game, Clyde was good for 21 yards on the ground and 3 catches for 10 yards. Barkevius Mingo, if you watched the Saints yesterday, was good for 6 tackles.
Also missed a tackle in overtime.
Yeah, he kind of did. I was going to skip right past that one. Duke Riley was also good for 6 tackles for the Eagles. By the way, Jalen Mills showing up in that Eagles box score as well. He had 5 tackles on the day. And thanks to Stephen Miller on Twitter, our unofficial pole vault correspondent, for letting me know that Mondo Duplantis is up for Male Athlete of the Year with the World Athletics Organization.
Shout out.
Big time. And that's Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by KYSBestHemp.com. KYSBestHemp.com. If you haven't heard it yet, we got a new commercial. I said if T-Bob can do a stupid bleep, 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 bleep commercial, and if Ruffin can sing, then damn it, I can go KYSBestHemp.com. KYSBestHemp.com. Promo code AFR30. Y'all support great former Tiger Lewis Coleman. This is his company. If you've never tried CBD products, all natural, anxiety, inflammation, help you sleep at night. Kentucky's Best Hemp. Promo code AFR30. Hour 3 next.
AFR.
Hey, if you're in the market for a new vehicle, make sure you put Volkswagen on your list. SouthPointVW.com. As a matter of fact, in the last month, I've had 2 family members ask me, hey, man, so like for real, what's the deal on the Atlas? Love it. I have one. Erica has one. We wouldn't have 2 in our garage if we didn't love the vehicle. It's at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland. SouthPointVW.com. New and certified pre-owned. Get to the website, SouthPointVW.com. You tap new inventory, or you can tap used as well, and you'll see pictures, not factory photos, but like actual pictures of the vehicle that's there on the lot. So you can see all the different images of that vehicle that's there on the lot. So shop them online, work out your financing online, and then go test drive Airline just north of Highland or online at SouthPointVW.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online. It's South Point Volkswagen. What's your direct?
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
You know someone who sets a good example for all of us to follow? Someone who shows leadership, selflessness, and service to their community without being asked? We think that's the definition of a good citizen, and so does Citizens Bank and Trust. If you know someone who exhibits all of these qualifications, nominate them for a Good Citizen Award, and they could receive $500 from Citizens Bank. And we'll recognize them here on the show. Get the details at citizensbankandtrust.com, and then nominate your good citizen.
What do Honda lovers look forward to this time of year? Aside from family, turkey, and pie, happy Honda Days at Richard's Honda. It's that time of year when everything is at clearance prices. And since we're stocked up on inventory, you'll have plenty to choose from. Over 700 in stock at transparent prices. Happy Honda Days makes happy customers. Come see why people call Richard's Honda the smart choice. I-12 at Millerville Road and richardshonda.com.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Callahan Injury Lawyers.
This is Sportscenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Developing story, the 49ers' lengthy injury list in 2020 has gotten even longer. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo expected to be sidelined at least 6 weeks with a high ankle sprain. Tight end George Kittle expected to miss 8 weeks with a broken bone in his foot. The Kittle absence will certainly be a tough void for San Francisco, notes ESPN's Jeff Saturday.
It's not just what he does on the field. He's the lifeblood, being Kittle, to this offense, right? The energy he brings, the yards after the catch, the toughness, the physicality. You see him in the run game, how well he blocks. This guy is a great football player, does a really good job for this 49ers football team. Tough loss for them, man. Really disappointed.
Bears receiver Javon Wims suspended 2 games by the NFL for throwing a sucker punch in the loss to the Saints. He is appealing. The hearing will be held tomorrow. Raiders right tackle Trent Brown remains hospitalized in Cleveland a day after he had an episode taking a pregame IV in the team's locker room. Brown had come off the reserve COVID-19 list on Friday. Florida football coach Dan Mullen fined $25,000 after Saturday's brawl between the Gators and Mizzou.
We're back on Tuesday with my real rankings. I'll tell you if the Steelers have jumped in the top spot and where Brady and the Bucs sit after Monday Night Football. Keyshawn, J. Will Zubin, 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
The brain got a poop. And Mr. Toby Tom Blake. We're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. A really disappointing day for LSU fans. On the flip side of it, the Hoodats making moves. 4 wins in a row for New Orleans. The Saints are now at 5-2. They trade today for San Francisco 49ers linebacker Quan Alexander, former LSU Tigers, coming to the Saints. Conditional 5th-round draft pick, and Kiko Alonso headed to San Fran. So Saints making moves to get better. They've won 4 in a row, and they will have to go on the road Sunday Night Football to play Tampa. The Bucs, incidentally, will play tonight in New York against the Giants on Monday Night Football. So for Tampa, trip up to New York for a road game, and then a short week for a Sunday Night Football against the Saints. So get healthy, get on the road, see if you can go get a win, make it 2-0 on the season against the Bucs. But much of the conversation today, as you'd imagine, has revolved around LSU and the disappointment of this past weekend. The positive of this past weekend is that LSU did land 2 commitments. Jack Bech and Sage Ryan. Jack Bech is going to join us in 27 minutes, by the way, at the bottom of this hour. So we'll talk to the St. Thomas More wide receiver, LSU legacy. Of course, his uncles, Brett and Blaine Besh, both played at LSU. Besh had been committed to Vanderbilt, When he got his LSU offer, he promptly decommitted, then picked up offers from Texas and Notre Dame, and then, of course, committed to LSU, which was always his dream school. He got the offer, certainly warranted. Kid's a beast. And we'll talk to Jack Bech again coming up in 26 minutes from right now, right at the bottom of this hour. And it's one of the reasons why, look, we've spent a lot of time today pointing out much of the obvious, which a lot of people have since the loss on Saturday. And in no way should anybody associated with this LSU program today feel good about what transpired on Saturday or what has transpired through 5 games. This is a team that is far more talented than its 2-3 record. And it's not just the record because, as I've said, I can handle losses. I mean, LSU has had really, I guess, in its history, 3 undefeated seasons, 1908, 1958, 2019. I mean, in 126 years of football, you're going to lose games. It's how you're losing games, the historic manner in which you're losing games, to whom you're losing games, and the inability to correct the things that are the reason that you're losing games. That's the biggest problem I have right now. Now, Ed Ogeron did say today when he met with the media, can you please play 5, please? Ed Ogeron did talk today about, even with these losses, like, he still feels like this program is going in the right direction.
In my mind, we building a championship program. We're going to be a championship team. We're going through some growing pains right now. I know it. We got some young players. We got some new coaches that have been on our staff for a short time, didn't have spring ball to put in their system. Not an excuse. This is the SEC. And the other coaches had the same amount of time. But I know this in my mind. We have a plan here. I know the people surrounding me are very supportive. We just had one of the best teams in college football last year. We're not that far away. We've got to get better coaches. We've got to get better players. And this is LSU, and we're going to do that.
When you are 11 months, 10 months removed from capping off the greatest season ever, it's easy to believe him. And what Ed proved last year is that this structure of how LSU is building its football program and has built its football program can work, and can work to a national championship level. It worked once, it can work again. And I understand you had Joe Burrow a year ago. And we're seeing right now in the NFL validation of what Joe Burrow is, which is the greatest quarterback any of us have ever seen at LSU, and on a very short list of the greatest quarterbacks that college football has ever seen, and he's bringing that now to the NFL. It can absolutely work again. The key, obviously, with this structure, though, is you've got to make great hires. And the reality is right now that Ed has had more misses than hits on his coaching staff. Matt Canada was a miss. Pete Jenkins. I love Coach Pete, y'all, with all, as a coach, he's the greatest defensive line coach literally ever, and I love that man. But you hired Coach Pete when he was in his 70s, and it was going to be a short-term thing, and he wasn't going to recruit, and teams negative recruited you because of that. Nick Saban negative recruited you. Do you remember the story about Fidarian Mathis up in North Louisiana? He's like, man, I can't even get the coach's phone number. Who do you think was feeding him that? That's a miss. Of course, have Coach Pete on staff. Have him as an analyst. Have him as an associate. The same role you had John Robinson. But that was a miss by Ed. To bring Jerry Sullivan on staff, the same thing. Jerry Sullivan wasn't even traveling to road games, y'all. That's a miss, man. Bo Pelini is a miss. I mean, the best coaches on staff, Steve Ensminger was hired by Les Miles. Dave Aranda was hired by Les Miles. Corey Raymond was hired by Les Miles. Hell, Ed Ogeron was hired by Les Miles. The weird juxtaposition is that Les was great at hiring coaches. He couldn't delegate. Ed's willing to delegate. He's not picking the right guys. And I don't know what he's going to do short term this year. It sounds like he's going to let it ride. And if that's the case, I know what's going to happen in Baton Rouge in 2 weeks. And it's going to be another epic loss, another historic loss, because the best team in college football is coming into your building still salty about what happened in their building a year ago. And you're going to have to go to A&M, which very well, y'all, could be playing for a spot in the college football playoff. And you're going to have to go to Florida, which when you play them could be the game that punctuates their and punches their ticket to the SEC championship game and potentially into the playoff. And their coach is crazy. Like, you thought Saturday was rock bottom. There are more rungs on the ladder. And you're descending. Now, maybe they're content to let this thing free fall this year. And say, well, just chalk it up to what it is. COVID, craziness, whatever, young team, lost a bunch of guys, all that stuff. And try to regroup for next year. I'm not okay with that, but I'm not the head coach. The structure can work, but the legs on the stool all have to be there. The recruiting is there. The head coach is there. Your coordinators are not. That's the problem you have right now. And when you're missing one of those legs, the stool's going to fall over. If you missed the open of the show today, I'll repeat it. A lot of people say, well, what are you going to do? What do you want to do? My idea, and it's not something that I think Ed Ogeron's going to do, but I think one thing's abundantly clear. When you keep having the same mistakes over and over again, it's very clear that this team, these players, are not playing for this defensive staff. In particular, Bo, Ed, Bo, however you want to say it. The one guy on that staff that I know that they will play their ass off for is Corey Raymond. If it were my decision, I would promote Corey Raymond today to defensive coordinator. That's what I would do. That would give you 2 weeks to prepare for Alabama. You would inject life into this defense. You would refocus this group to go play and finish this season strong and start moving that meter back in the other direction from where it's heading right now. You're not going to win a championship this year, but we've seen Ed Ogeron do this himself. 2016, as the interim coach, what did he say every week? Our new season. We're 1-0 in our new season. He basically just lopped off those first 4 games, said, forget about it. We're building from here on. I think the similar approach here is about all you got to work with. All right, it's after further review. Uncomfortable times, y'all. I mean, it's not just losing. The losing, while it's not fun, is something that happens and something they can handle. Giving up 600 yards to Mississippi State, allowing a freshman quarterback to throw for 400 on you at Missouri, letting a pedestrian Bo Nix throw for 300 on you, suffering the worst loss in the history of that series, your worst loss as a program in the SEC since 1996. It's not all right, and it shouldn't be all right for anybody. All right, it's after further review. Quick break, come back. Get some of your phone calls if you want to jump aboard. Jim'sFirearms.net phone lines are open, 499-1045. Jack Bech at the bottom of this hour, so if you want to work in a phone call, get it in now. It's AFR.
AFR.
If you're thinking about selling your home, do not wait. Call Darren James. Get your home sold. I was talking to Darren last week. He put a home under contract in 5 hours, y'all. 5 hours. On top of that, his last 5 listings he's had under contract in a day or less. If you need to sell your home, call the realtor that's got a plan. And you might say to yourself, how could you sell a home in 5 hours? How could you sell a home in a day? It's because Darren has the systems in place to match buyers with exactly what you're selling. So it's not just randomly throwing a sign in a yard or a listing on a website. It's actively matching what you're selling with people who are looking for exactly what you're selling. Call Darren James and get your home sold. 335-7666. Think real estate. Think Darren James.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
At Corvette Toyota in Opelousas, you can get into a 2020 Camry LE with 0% for 6 years or for $22,890. Hurry in, they won't last long. That's Corvette Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
Hello.
What's up, E? What you doing?
Chilling at the office working. You?
Hanging at the job site. Chilling.
Roof's up.
Hey, Greg, roof up?
Roof's up. Roof's up. Roof's up.
Roof's up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, we'll get to your calls, texts, emails, tweets here in just a quick second. Of course, you can always jump to the Bayou Ford YouTube channel, the Watch 1045 ESPN YouTube channel. You can watch us for free anywhere, any day on the Watch 1045 ESPN YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe so you get notified whenever we go live. I'll get to your phone calls in a second. Alvin Kamara caught 9 more passes on Sunday against the Bears. He is on pace to set the NFL single-season record for catches and receiving yards by a running back. He's on pace for 125 receptions and 1,270 yards. Like, remove Alvin Kamara's name. Just think about this in context of a receiver. 125 catches, 1,270 yards. You'd be like, damn, this dude's an all-pro. He's the best. And then I tell you that's a running back who's also one of the more dynamic running backs in the game, and it's absolutely staggering. I told you last week that Alvin Kamara should be an MVP consideration because there is absolutely no chance that the Saints, without Michael Thomas, now without Emmanuel Sanders, are even, and with the defense playing as poorly as they have at times, even close to being 5-2 without the dynamic Alvin Kamara. Look, this team isn't the 85 Bears. They're not the 2000 Ravens. They're not the 02 Bucks. It's not one of those teams with such an elite defense that you can win with an average offense. You've got to go make plays, and Alvin Kamara has been the guy they have relied on time and time again, and he is on a record-setting pace. Now, that pace probably breaks when you get Thomas and Sanders back, but even still, to be at this point through 7 games, halfway through the NFL season, just about halfway through the NFL season, is remarkable. So congrats to Alvin Kamara, who continues to just do amazing things. All right, let's get back on some of your calls and emails, Matt at 1045ESPN.com, some of your comments in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat as well. Let's talk to Mike, who's in St. Francisville. Hi, Mike. Go ahead.
Hey, Matt. How's it going?
Good, man. Thank you.
Basically, for the commercial break, you pretty much said what I was going to say about the defense and maybe let Corey Raymond, with this 2-week period off, try somebody else at defensive coordinator, because the players, they're basically not playing right now for the current defensive coordinator, and they can spend that, like you said, that off weekend off preparing for Alabama coming up. The problem with this team is the defense. I agree with you that they pretty much have their quarterback and T.J. Finley, to be truthful about the matter. Every week a team comes in that maybe not that good, and they play their best ball against LSU. LSU make every bad team look good at this point, and its defense is basically the number one problem right now.
You know, Mike, Ed Ogeron today said point blank, we've simplified as much as we can. And some people are asking, you know, they've followed up and challenged me on the idea with Corey because he hasn't been a DC yet. And I'll keep coming back to the fact that I don't need, like, you're as basic and as simplified on defense as you can possibly be, and you're still missing assignments, and you still can't set the edge. And that's whenever I go, this is just an effort thing, man, where guys are laughing on the sideline, and they're not playing hard, and they're losing, they don't care. Like, it's the hardest thing in the world for me to criticize, Mike. Even after the Mississippi State game, if you go back and listen to the show the Monday after, I came here and I said point blank, like, I cannot criticize effort because I don't know, and I would need to know what's really in between those players' helmets. But when you have this big of a sample and they've simplified as much as they can, and then you see a lot of the body language and you see guys losing, they're laughing on the sideline, like, all of those things are evident and it's not there. So my point with all of that is to say, look, I don't think Corey Raymond comes in and could wave a magic wand and all of a sudden make this a top 10 defense, but do I think that these guys would all be invigorated and would play hard for him? Yes, I absolutely do. I believe that in my core because I know so many of those guys are LSU Tigers because of Corey Raymond. All right, Mike, I appreciate you, man. Thanks. Adrian is in Pineville. Hey, Adrian.
Hey, yeah, I was just calling in. You mentioned firing Pelini, and I don't disagree with that at all. But what do you do with the buyout on his contract, especially in light of all the budget cuts in the athletic department here recently? It just feels like you're kind of stuck.
It's a great question. And you might be, Adrian, but I think that's why you have administrators who get paid a lot of money to make those types of decisions. Listen, I'll point back to when the Matt Canada situation happened. And if you remember at the time, Adrian, that's when our state was going through massive budget cuts in higher education. And if you recall, it came at a time where firing Les Miles was, I mean, look, that's the reason Les really wasn't fired in 2015. King Alexander was so ill-prepared for that whole thing, that's because LSU was completely void of leadership with he and Joe Oliva, that ultimately it came down to it. They had Jimbo on the hook, but King said, no, I'm not paying the buyout because he was going hat in hand to the legislature trying to get increased funding for higher ed, and he thought it would look bad if he went to the governor, the legislature asking for increased funding in higher ed, and they're paying coaches, a $10 million buyout. So LSU's been in that situation before, Adrian. I think it just comes down to the fact of, are there a handful of private donors that you can go to and ask for money to offset this buyout? And then can you negotiate some type of buyout like they did with Matt Canada? And I don't have all the answers. That's why you have attorneys and you try to work your way through that contractually. But I think the real question, Adrian, you ask yourself is, can you afford to continue at this pace? And I think the answer is no.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Okay, man. And I know, I'm not the reactive guy. Like, if you listen to this show, you know that I don't knee-jerk reaction. I don't speak in absolutes. I don't like hyperbole. I just think it's obvious. We're seeing right now a team that is not playing for this coach for whatever reason. If it's COVID or opt-outs or they've already lost, or like whatever, these players are not playing for this coach right now. And I don't know how you fix that. I don't know how you fix that. I don't know how you turn over an entire roster or regain that trust or make all these players like buy in. It's clear it's not there. Maybe they ride out this wave, and maybe it is, but maybe next year it gets better. And I don't want to, and I don't believe, like I'm not. One thing that is like nauseating hearing is this echo chamber argument among fans. Like, well, the 4-3 is so antiquated and you can't run a 4-3 anymore. And Bo Pelini's defense worked in 2007, but that's 13 years ago. There's so many teams in college and professional level that run a 4-3, and most everybody runs nickel as their base anyway with current football. It's just, do you want fast athletic linemen and big thumper linebackers in the middle, or do you want big space-eating linemen and faster athletic linebackers that cover sideline to sideline? It's just, what do you prefer? I mean, it's if you recruit to it and execute it, both can work. Right now, they're just not executing. And I don't know how that gets better. So, losing is one thing. Losing like this in historic manners week after week. I mean, this feels like the Matt Canada situation. This feels like Doug Mallory, Bradley Dale Pivito, co-DC thing in 2008, which was so obviously bad they had to move on. This feels like Lou Tepper in 1998. The difference is, with the three examples I just gave you, only one kept their job after the first year. That was Tepper. And by the end of the following season, Tepper and DiNardo were both gone. I'm not saying they're going to fire Ed Ogeron. Don't misunderstand me. But sometimes the earlier you realize when something's going bad, the earlier you can cut bait and move on. I think LSU football is at that point right now with Bo Pelini. All right, it's after further review. Despite all of the doom and gloom, y'all, there were rays of bright spots this weekend. You get Sage Ryan, and you also got Jack Bech. And Jack Bech is going to join us next on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Carriages in Bocage, carriagesbr.com. So we finally had some fall weather this weekend for Halloween. Temperatures down in the 40s. It has been a perfect time to break out that fall wardrobe, and no better place than at Carriages in Bocage. Carriagesbr.com, carriagesbr.com, or where they've been for 30 years in the Courtyard in Bocage Village. All of your fall styles from the names and brands you know and love. Sweaters, quarter zips, vests, Peter Millar, Jack Victor. They've got it all for you right now at Carriages in Bocage. The best selection with the most knowledgeable, helpful staff. If it's time to upgrade that fall wardrobe, it's time to get by Carriages in Bocage. Carriagesbr.com to shop their inventory. Remember, they can ship anywhere in the country or the world at carriagesbr.com, carriagesbr.com, or go see them where they've been for 30 years in the Courtyard in Bocage Village. Tell them Matt sent you in to Carriages in Bocage.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Here at the Big Squeezy, we continue to serve the Baton Rouge and Southeast Louisiana areas during these troubling times. We are dedicated to providing you healthy food items to help you live your best life. From our cold-pressed juices to our delicious smoothies, let the Big Squeezy keep you going. Stay active, stay happy, and let us help you stay healthy. Visit us at our locations and also inside of Alexander's and Mathern's grocery stores or online at thebigsqueezy.com.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one but two NMEA certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front to Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, cruising through a Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows, Windows door siding, Relief Windows, and reliefwindows.com. We will have Otter locks coming up here in about 15 minutes from right now. Also, what we learned. Remember, if you miss anything on the show, AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf. You can book your tee time at golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org. To start hour two, we had Saints wide receiver Juwan Johnson on with us. He had a TikTok that went viral last week with him telling his wife that he was going to be playing for the first time in his NFL career. We talked about that and him making his first reception, his first career reception. Okay. Last evening for the Saints. So, all right, we're expected to be joined by LSU wide receiver commit Jack Bech. Brain's working the phone with him right now. As soon as we get Jack on the line, we'll bring him on. But that was a giant bright spot of the weekend for Ed Ogeron, for the LSU football program, is that in spite of as disappointing as the start of the season has been at 2-3 and some of the losses, obviously the way they've looked, the flip side of it is, and we talk about this often, and people often wonder if losses can impact recruiting. And it's not to say that they can't, but in so many instances, you know, actually, Brain, can you play this one from Ed Ogeron today when he talked about, you know, he talked about recruiting and how, do you have this one? Which I don't see which one it is, but please play it if you have it.
You know what? You know, those guys still remember that championship team. They still remember a lot of things. This is LSU. The guys that want to come here, see an opportunity to play, they watch it on tape, say, you know what, hey, I can go and help my team. They still love the Tigers. You know, we've had relationships with these guys for 2 years, so I don't think this is going to affect it much. Now, it may affect a couple of guys. This week, you know, we went over our roster management. I had a great meeting with my recruiting staff, went over specific needs that we need, whether it be in high school, whether it be in junior college or graduate transfers. We've been great on graduate transfers here. We're going to continue to look at them. And I do believe, Garland, one of our biggest things in roster management is, now that we have the extra year, is keeping a lot of guys for maturity for next year. I miss going out on the road. I like to be going out on the road, but, you know, we only got like 5 spots left in recruiting, and we got a lot of guys that want to come. So I think we ranked 4th in the country. Obviously, we're very pleased with what happened this weekend. It was a big battle. I got to give credit to Kevin Falk and Corey Raymond and Derek Panansky. Those guys did a tremendous job, and it's always going to be a fight to keep our best players in Louisiana.
Of course, Ed Ogeron there was talking about commitments from both Sage Ryan and our next guest, Jack Bech, wide receiver out of St. Thomas More, who pulled the trigger on the Tigers yesterday on Sunday evening. Is good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here. Jack, thanks so much for the time, man. Congrats on the commitment. How are you?
I'm great. How are y'all?
Man, doing really well. All right, let's go through this whole process, man. So you'd been committed to Vanderbilt, and then things really kind of caught fire for you. How did that all start to happen whenever your recruitment really picked up?
It's been a journey. Vanderbilt was a school I really loved. They had a world-class, operation over there. It was really hard for me to call them and decommit, but I just thought it was right for me and my family to do that. There's a lot been going through my mind. Whenever LSU offered me, obviously it was a dream offer. Growing up as a kid in Louisiana, going to the games every Saturday. So whenever they offered me, obviously I had to think about it. But it was kind of like a thing where LSU was a place I couldn't not go.
So as soon as you got the offer, you knew that it was done.
For the most part, I knew that's where my heart was. Yeah, for the most part.
I'm sure your uncle has told you this, but you know who has the longest reception in the 2003 national championship game?
Uncle Blaine.
On a trick, I call it. He's just down the hall from us. I call him the greatest trick play special teams guy in the history of LSU football. I'm certain that your role might be more significant to that than that. What did the coaches have talked to you about your role being when you get on campus?
So they were talking about how, one day I'll be in the receiver room, one day I'll be in the tight end room. They're just kind of calling me a kid that can, go outside and make plays, go to the spot and make plays, or if they need me, line up in the box, kind of like an H-back position, and I can get down and dirty and start getting some key blocks, for some run plays, things like that. So I think they're going to try and utilize me all over the field, and use my blocking as well.
Do you have a preference? Wide receiver, tight end?
However I get on the field the most and can make the biggest impact.
I hear you, man. Jack Bech is with us for a couple more minutes. He's on Twitter at JackBech7. You're talking to a very, very proud and obnoxious Catholic High alum, yeah?
Oh, I did not know that.
That's a shame. So I'll just say ha-ha for last year and that you got lucky for this year. How about that?
That sounds good to me. I'm not trying to start any conflict.
I don't blame you, man. When you got the dub, you got the dub. Hey, a lot of people have asked about this LSU season, obviously being not up to expectation and how that might impact recruiting. When you talk to guys in this class, or for you personally, because I think sometimes fans and for our audience listening maybe obviously don't have the same perspective as a recruit. How does a season like this impact recruiting?
Obviously, if this season would have started off slow and we wouldn't have had the success we've been having, I don't know how many eyes would have been on us. But, with Walker leading us at QB, O-line playing really great, defense playing great, all our receivers getting to work, running backs, everybody across the field, everybody's been doing their part. And, we were able to win some pretty big and substantial games. I think that's really helped us put more eyes on us, especially from people in state. And I think being able to do all this with Walker, showing a lot of coaches that over quarantine, that, we put in the work, we got bigger, stronger, faster. I think that's really helped.
Does LSU having a slow start to their season impact your feeling about committing or what other recruits say about LSU?
Not at all. There's just a rebuilding year for LSU. I think they lost around 30 players to the draft this year. So, it's just a rebuilding year. We know that. We're ready to step in there, next couple of years, bring a national championship back to Baton Rouge.
Before you go, man, you mentioned Walker and the opportunity to play with your high school quarterback. What are your feelings? I'm sure you guys have talked about that a ton, but your feelings of having the opportunity to regain that connection in Baton Rouge.
I mean, we've talked about that for forever. That's been a dream of ours since we were kids. It meant the world to me. I think there was also no chance that I was ever going to be able to leave him. So with him being committed to LSU, me getting the offer, me committing, having this chemistry ready for whenever he gets here, hopefully being his main target. It's in the big time, and I'm really excited for it in OC.
Hey, before you go, what about your role in the rest of this class and trying to recruit those final handful of spots of guys that who are still out on the board?
Yeah, since I made my commitment public, I think, the kids are committed and me as well. We're going to try and bring in, those three big ones. I think we're going to try and bring them back to Baton Rouge. I think we have a good chance, and, once we do that, we're going to, like I said before, we'll be able to bring a natty back to Baton Rouge.
LSU wide receiver commit Jack Bech out of St. Thomas More. Congrats to you, to your whole family, man. We appreciate a couple of minutes. Health and success the rest of the season to you and St. Thomas More.
Thank you so much. Y'all have a good one.
Our pleasure. Jack Bech, again, from a long line, man, with his uncles, Brett and Blaine Besh, having played before him, and now Jack. And tell you what, man, I feel really good for him. If you missed, on Friday, Jamie Howard was on the show, of course, who's Walker's father, played at LSU, and we had him as our guest picker. And we talked about Walker, and we also talked about Jack Bech. Remember, this is a guy who played quarterback in the SEC, whose son is committed to an SEC school, who has the opportunity to see Jack Bech play every Friday night. Here was Jamie Howard's assessment of Jack. You know
now,
what?
Besh is an animal, y'all. He's really fun to watch.
Jamie, why in the world did it take so long for him to get an offer?
Okay, I'll tell you this: what really hurt the kid, the way they recruit these days, these camps. That's the only way you can really truly see what a kid looks like next to his peers or people like his age. Sure. And so, not having the camps with COVID really hurt Besh. And he's a kind of kid that you have to see in person to understand how good he is. And that's what hurt. And them not being able to go to games or go to practices, having those dead periods really hurt Jack. But now all of a sudden Notre Dame offered him today. Texas is really hot on him. And TCU offered him Mississippi State. And so now they're seeing the tape doesn't lie. The kid's a freak.
6'2", 215. Y'all, he is a long strider, and he is strong. As a Catholic guy, unfortunately, I've seen enough of Jack Bech, but it's going to be really good to see him in the purple and gold. And I think when you look at how this LSU class is lining up, it does make a lot of sense. If you have Chris Hilton already in the class from Zachary, you're still in the mix with Brian Thomas and Walker, though a lot of people kind of think he's an Alabama lean. I have no idea. Well, now you've got two of the top three quarterback or receivers in your state committed for next year. And when you look at that receiver room, the best part about it is you're going to lose Terrace Marshall. But coming back next year, you look at those freshmen who are already making an impact. When you look at Keyshawn Booty, you look at Coy Moore, you got Alex Adams there as well. And then coming back next year, Trey Palmer, you would expect to have an expanded role in the receiving room. You don't need those guys day one to be impact guys. If they can take a year to grow or develop. And you heard Jack say there, he'll spend that was an interesting tidbit, right? He'll spend a day in the receiver room, a day in the tight end room. I mean, at 6'2", 215, it's not unrealistic to think you can put a little more weight on that guy, and he can play that hybrid tight end role, kind of like Gilbert's playing right now. I'm not saying he's 6'5" like Gilbert is, but you could still play in that role where you could, put him in the slot. You can even have him attached and put his hand in the dirt and block, or go out to catch a pass and create mismatches over the middle. It's exciting to think how LSU's recruiting and how they're already thinking about developing these prospects. So congrats to Jack Bech, man. I know for that family it's great. Blaine's our guy who works with us here at Guarantee, and I know their whole family's been really excited for Jack. So good on him, man. As soon as he got the LSU offer, it was over, man. But good on him. Yeah.
Hey, if he sounded out of breath right there, his buddy actually answered the phone for him. He was still getting work done after practice. His buddy went and ran him down on the field and said, "You're supposed to be on the radio."
Yeah. I was like, "Hey, Brain, what are we doing? Is he there? Is he not there?"
I'm talking to Jack's Podna right now.
Next time, open the mic and tell me you're talking to Jack's Podna. We'll put Jack's Podna on. Hey, Jack's Podna. What's Jack doing right now? Timing him in the 40? Appreciate Jack Bech. Remember, if you miss anything, AFR On Demand, presented by Breck Golf. Golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org. Final break. We'll wrap up with Otter Locks and what we learned next. Stick around.
AFR.
Let me take 60 seconds and remind you about our friends over at the Baton Rouge General Hospital, brgeneral.org, brgeneral.org. Start there, brgeneral.org. Virtual visits, if it's patient care, the patient fast pass, treatment care, anything you're looking for with regard to your health care at the Baton Rouge General Hospital, you can get it all at the website at brgeneral.org, brgeneral.org. Virtual visits are such a key part of what they're doing right now at the Baton Rouge General because so many people aren't comfortable yet getting out and about. And if that's you and you still need health care, the Baton Rouge General Hospital has you covered with virtual visits at brgeneral.org. So you go to the homepage, you tap right there at the top of virtual visits. You'll see it at brgeneral.org. Remember, they've got their express care locations all over the greater Baton Rouge area. You can find the express care location nearest you. Wait times, all of that's on the app, the Baton Rouge General Hospital app, or just log on to brgeneral.org. brgeneral.org for the Baton Rouge General Hospital, part of the Mayo Clinic Care Network.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Corval Toyota in Opelousas, you can get into a 2020 Highlander for $4,500 off MSRP. That's right, $4,500 off MSRP. Hurry in, they won't last long. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Been a busy day. Appreciate you for hanging out with us on this Monday, presented by Relief Windows. We do it every weekday to wrap up. Let's do some Otter Locks.
Otter Locks. Otter Locks.
With the one and only, the incomparable, and often incomprehensible Jimmy. How are you, Otter?
What's up, Matthew? How are you, buddy?
I'm doing okay, man, all things considered. Let's look at this Monday Night Football game. And I also have a question I want to ask about LSU Bama and about Quan Alexander that somebody asked me earlier. But let's start with Monday Night Football. What are you looking at?
Well, I'm hoping to catch a little college angle here in that where the line is really high. I mean, 13 points is extremely high. But, you know, the Giants have an average defense. The Bucs have an average offense, kind of middle of the league. But the Bucs have the number one defense, total defense in the league. The Giants have the 31st best offense. That's going to be hard for the Giants to score. So I'm hoping maybe just a little peek ahead spot to the Saints. The Bucs have looked so good. They were a public team before they started. Their over/under started at 9 and went to 9.5, then to 10 on the win total, and so they're constantly getting action by the public. 2-1 Buccaneers tickets over the Giants tonight. So you're dealing with an inflated line, but you know, please approach cautiously. Okay, because I mean I had a very nice weekend, but I'm going to tell you what, I lost one. I lost one on a new one. What did you think about the scoop and score in the Eagles-Dallas game? I mean, I thought the guy was down, but anyway.
Not gonna lie to you, Otter.
I know. I'm the only one that was watching.
With the time change, I was in bed at like 9:43 last night. As soon as Drew went to bed, I was like, "Babe, turn it on. Like you can watch it. But I'm going to bed."
There are very few as committed as me. I understand that, but the thing is,
that's what your money will do.
So I got 12. A great line in Natchez, okay? I got 12. The line is 10.5 just about everywhere else. It's on 12 even after all these horrendous breaks. And this guy throwing sidearm as a quarterback for Dallas. So they fourth down. Dallas going to punt with 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes to go. And just, you know what they do?
DiNucci.
They intentionally snap it over the punter's head, through the upright for an intentional safety. Loser, thanks for shopping. See ya.
That's a bad beat. Put it on Van Pelt's segment with the bad beats, man.
Yeah, the only problem is not many people had that line, but I did.
Yeah,
they just prolonged the end. Not like a little bit of the Giants, not a little bit of the under, but I mean, geez. Now listen, it was a dog weekend in the NFL. 8-4, including 6 outright. 6 outright winners, so some money line hits coming back to some money. So what'd you have to ask about Quan, man? It's a good pickup for the night.
I'll get to that in a second. Someone asked me earlier today if there's a line for LSU Bama yet. I haven't seen one. Early thought on what that might look like?
Oh, man, I could tell you exactly what it's going to be between a point and 2. If you gave me a little bit more time, I'll try and zoom through it real quick. But estimated... we're looking at like 21, maybe. But I'm gonna try and get to it as we speak. But,
no worries.
It's gonna be yes.
No, I know. Somebody asked me also today about if Quan would affect. I'm sorry. I saw it on Twitter. I'm short on time. Someone asked about if Quan would impact the Saints Super Bowl odds, and they did not move. What type of player might impact a futures bet like that, like Super Bowl odds?
Oh God, it's a quarterback. It's a Julio Jones type of level receiver. That was a big factor that we failed to kind of take into account as much on Thursday night. Somebody that really dictates it. There are very few running backs, but maybe. When Dallas was good, but an Ezekiel Elliott or something like that. But no, Quan Alexander, absolutely not. And this is where, but you can gain a little value. The guy like that's not going to move the line, but he helps the team. You know, I mean, Anthony, he's a little bit more physical than Anzalone, and he's going to be able to hang in there. Maybe he's a tackling machine with the Buccaneers. Yeah. But, I mean, no, those type of kind of nondescript, Jamal Adams didn't affect Seattle's win-loss total at all.
Yeah.
He doesn't make them a better team.
Interesting, yeah.
So I mean, those type of positions, I mean, I think the only guy, when you go all back to it, that really affected the line, you got to go back to like Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
I mean, a really impactful defensive player. But it's usually quarterbacks than receivers.
Game Time with Jimmy Ott follows us in Baton Rouge every single weeknight. So check out Game Time with Jimmy Ott right here on 1045ESPN.com or on the Game Time with Jimmy Ott Facebook page. Where are you tonight, man?
We're in Natchez still. We're presented by visitnatchez.org. We're on Canal Street at the Pig Out Inn Barbecue. Love this place, man.
There you go.
We had it. Yeah, so we're having a good time. Going to close it out in Natchez. Brought to you by visitnatchez.org.
Our Mississippi people, go check out the Otter tonight there in Natchez.
Hey, your boys from Ichiban put on a show Saturday, man. That was good stuff.
Hey, man,
Good
I'm telling you, that Boru ramen is on point, man. They are not.
It's good.
They are not
It's
messing
good.
around, man. You got to go check it out over there in Electric Depot. We'll go. I know a guy. I'll get you in.
Where exactly are they located, man?
So Electric Depot, that's like the old Red Stick Social, right? So if you're on Government, you're going north of 110. You go through that first light, and it's on the left.
Gotcha.
All
Thank you.
right, Otter.
Appreciate it. Finally, somebody at the station feeds me.
Have a good show, Otter. We'll see you.
All right, man.
All right,
Thank you.
it is After Further Review brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com. 18 locations in South Louisiana. Find the location nearest you at ShawBillsTire.com with new hours coming as well, where Shawbills will be closed on the weekend, of course, because they're family-owned and operated. They value families, your family, and their own, and their employees' families as well, so they can have more time. So ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com to find the location, the hours of operation, and of course, if you want to shop tires online, ShawBillsTire.com. For any different make or model vehicle you have, whatever size, specifications you're looking for, they have them for you online at ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills, where we keep you rolling. Brain, what did you learn today?
I learned that Jack Bech's friends are comfortable enough to answer his cell phone.
Would you let anybody answer your phone?
I don't think so.
Yeah, me either. I would fight you if you touched my phone. Legit fight you.
Same.
Maybe not.
Well, during a segment.
Maybe. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Paulie, what did you learn?
I learned that Sheldon Rickens has a MCL injury.
Oh, you didn't know that?
I did not.
Oh, glad I taught you that.
Thank you.
Well, I learned that on Twitter earlier today.
Matt, what'd you learn?
We had a listener in Montana who called. That's kind of crazy,
Billings,
right?
Montana.
And Juwan Johnson is a viral TikTok star. He and his wife have a combined account. That's where all their stuff's going viral. That's crazy. Go follow Juwan Johnson. Juwan Chan on Twitter. Or on TikTok. See ya.
AFR.
All right, as we get on down the road, I'll remind you about the Williamson Eye Center. Should have had the Otter mention his experience as well, because Jimmy Ott just recently, in the last few months, went to the Williamson Eye Center, went through the consultation with Dr. Blake Williamson. I can tell you I've laughed at Jimmy so many times. And if you actually go back and look at me and Jimmy, if you type in both of our handles on Twitter, you will get results of me making fun of him, because he has the readers on times he and I have been at restaurants. He has the multiple pair of glasses. He's got his phone with the light looking at a menu because he couldn't see anything. Well, Dr. Blake Williamson fixed that. It doesn't matter if you're like me and you were extremely nearsighted and LASIK was the answer, or if you're like Jimmy, where he was farsighted and needed readers and really was having trouble. He had a lens replacement. There is a refractive option for you if you want to see without contacts or glasses. It's life-changing. To give yourself the gift of sight, let the Williamson Eye Center help you. 924-2020, 924-2020, 924-2020, or Williamson, EYE.